Yes, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Whoever you are, wherever you are very welcome. I've assembled this group of people, and this group of people are going to discuss why we should get a new manager after 10 Premier League games, or maybe not. Some breaking news. Will Steele has been sacked as manager of Southampton, and after they lost today, both Eddie Howe and Iriola have been sacked from their clubs, because that's how it works, right, guys? Lose a game, sack the manager. That's how it works. Welcome to Dan, Perchy, to Lee, to Chris, and to the Flower Man. How are we all doing, guys? Everyone okay?
All good.
Yeah, mate. All good, mate. All good.
A bit better after the game yesterday.
Gee, I was going to say, can we have some form of...
I'll tell you what, I'm buzzing because my boys won. We won our first league game yesterday, 2-0. I kept a clean sheet. Absolutely fantastic. There we go.
Well done.
Frank out, Lee in.
Frank out, Lee in. We want Lee in. We want Lee in. Guys, obviously we're going to talk about yesterday's game. We're going to look forward to Copenhagen on Tuesday night as well. And we are going to talk about what do Tottenham need to do to kick on. What do we need to do player-wise? What do we need to do? What does Frank need to do? Guys, I'm going to start by saying this, and anyone can go. We know yesterday was a shit show. I don't feel like there's any way of defending it. It wasn't good from start to finish. We didn't look like scoring. We looked like conceding. We couldn't pass a ball. We didn't create. But hasn't the world gone slightly mental that so many are talking about sacking a manager that is sitting fifth in the Premier League table, above the likes of Unai Emery, above Ruben Amorim, above Eddie Howe, above Glasner? It's all gone a bit bonkers, isn't it, chaps?
No, it's absolutely insane at the moment. Like, it's just insanity. Like, we lose a game of football, and you're right, we were crap yesterday. There's no arguing. We're not going to pretend that we were great. We were crap yesterday. But let's not, we make it out. Do you know what it is? It's all of a sudden, everyone seems to have made out like we're not usually crap against Chelsea. Like, it's not the first time that we've been shit against Chelsea. And everyone is making out like, oh, we batter Chelsea every time. And for once, we're crap. We're always crap against Chelsea. Yeah, look, meltdowns are going to melt down, agendas after agenda, and just people are just all over the place. Like, just make your mind up. It's ironic, isn't it? The managers that people want to replace Frank with, Frank currently is above them. Like, we're not. It's just weird. Like Bournemouth today weren't. I didn't think they were amazing today. I thought Man City were phenomenal today. But yeah, look, I just think people need to understand. It's funny, isn't it? I'll let someone else speak. But in the summer, all summer, it was, this manager is going to need time. This manager needs to implement his philosophy, implement his style. He needs to build with this team. And by the 1st of November, we're ripping that up and going, nah, this manager's shit. It's mental.
Is it really that mental, though?
Yes,
really?
It's absolutely insane.
Let me give my reason. Yeah, right. It's that mental. I agree. He needs the time, yeah? But aren't we basically just doing exactly the same sort of thing, but in a sort of love-hate way that we did with the start of Ange, that a lot of people did? Can't say everybody, but a high majority of people did. Let me finish.
Okay.
In the first 10 games with Ange, everyone was saying, we're going for the league. Loads of people were saying, we're going for the league. Ange has got it. We're going all the way. Ange is the one. Ange is going to do it. Yes, we've got it. Now, after 10 or so games with a new manager, people are already saying the train has crashed. It's coming off. My point is, we're doing exactly the same thing. We're just doing it in a different way. We've gone from one extreme to another extreme. So we are basically doing exactly the same as Spurs supporters in general of what they did with Ange. In the aspect
so
of
it's either this end of the spectrum or that end, and there's no in between.
Yeah, It's exactly the same. It's just the total opposite way. It's just the total opposite. It's a left and a right, an up and a down, whatever you want to call it. There's no in between here. So it's exactly the same as what they were doing with Ange. It's just the opposite way round.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, Dan. I think the problem is I would get that ideology and I'd get that mindset if we were sat 15th in the league. If we were sat 15th in the league and won one game, I'd go, I get it, right? But we're sat 5th in the league. Like
I understand that, but whether you get it or not, it's exactly what we are doing. Whether you get it or not, it's exactly what we are doing. Whether it's right or not, it's exactly what we are doing. Same as it wasn't right when people started going on about that. Ange is the man. 10 games in, we're going to do the league. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Get on the train and everything. On this one, it seems like the train crashed a bit early at a certain point, or it definitely was late at a junction or whatever, and a few people want to jump off a bit quick. It's just exactly the same thing. It's pretty normal, really.
Let's just break it down into reality, right? Because I don't like this mentality of I don't even want to talk about the guy, to be quite honest with you, and Ange in his 10 games. But reality of it is, if anyone was thinking that we would win the league after those 10 games, which, let's be honest, for 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, we played really well. For the rest, we were bang average and nicked it by 1 goal or something like that. I don't know how anyone thought that we were going to win the league from that run of games. It's absolute madness. But let's be absolutely honest here, right? Frank was probably on most people's radar when we knew Ange was probably going, right? He was probably maybe in the top 5, top 10 people we take at Tottenham based on his coaching, right? We all agree that at the club that he was at and the players that he did absolutely fantastic at Brentford, right? And I think we also agreed that apart from Kudos, his front 3 of Mbuemo, Vissa, etc., and that we would take at Tottenham. So they would get in ahead of the players that we've got in there at the moment, bar Kudos, right? So Frank has come in, not brought those additional players that he did really well with, and he's been left with bang average forwards, again, apart from Kudos, and yet he's done fantastic at Brentford, but for Tottenham now it's get out. It's Frank out. I mean, where does the mentality come from?
Well,
it's madness. He obviously hasn't got the players to do it. I can't believe people are calling for his head. And as I said, I'm pretty sure most of this negativity is just clicks and views on social media, because I can't think any logic behind any of it. He has, as I've said to everyone on all the shows I've been on, he is getting exactly the same treatment from me as Ange did in his first year, right? End of story. If he's not it by the end of the season and we haven't brought any other players in, then fine, get rid of him. But he can't be 10 games in. We're third in the, we 3rd or 4th in the league, or 5th in the league, or 1 point off second. I mean, Jesus Christ. Absolute madness.
But is it fair to say, like, look, I don't want Frank out at all. I think he's a good coach. It's going to take time. And sticking up for him, I think he's trying to pick up the pieces that was left behind. He's trying to fix the glass that's been smashed into a million pieces. I completely get that. But the standard of football is not acceptable. And I'm not saying that's all him. It's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. And by that, I mean, tell Richarlison, they're probably the only 2 in the starting 11 that have been playing consistently that I would say, right, they have to be changed to be playing a better brand of football. But we still should be creating. We still should be doing more, in my opinion. So therefore, I think that, I think he's been let down. I say let down's harsh, but I think players like Simmons and stuff, they're going to take time. I think everyone was expecting him to come in and flourish and be the Cam that he should be, and I think that's going to take time. So letdown's probably harsh, but I do think that there's enough players here to play better football than what we've seen at Chelsea, to play better football than we've seen at Doncaster. Because let's not be honest, that was dreadful. There's been games this season where it's just not acceptable, and I do feel like there's a lot of people trying to back Frank in every direction and every way possible, which is actually causing more rift in the fan base because they're going the opposite way. And you've got super hyperbolical people in and people that want him out, rather than actually seeing what we've been seeing.
James, why does it? But let me ask this question: why does it have to be either? Like what?
No,
why
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I agree.
This is the problem. Like when people say to me, "Are you Frank in?" What do you mean? He's our manager. Like it's 10 games in. He's won 5 of them, right? He's got a 50% win record. He's not lost in the Champions League. And okay, we got knocked out to a bloody good Newcastle United at home. Right? They're bloody good at home, Newcastle United. I don't think anyone's saying that. We'll talk about the football and how we get it better. I don't think anyone's saying the football has been good. But where I will disagree with you, James, is I said this all summer. I've not changed my mind on this at all. We have not got the players to play good football. Now, could we be playing better? Sure. I don't think we've got the players to play good football. I think we've got, as Lee just said, we've got one. This is one of the, sorry, I'm paraphrasing Lee. This is one of the worst sets of forwards I've seen at Tottenham for the last 3 decades. Like this is an atrocious set of forwards at Tottenham. We didn't buy what we needed. We didn't buy anything we needed, right? We panicked. We didn't get Eze, who was our first choice, right? So then we had to get in a player after the season had started. But he's not hit the ground running, and we'll see what happens with him. We didn't get a centre forward, right? We didn't get a left winger, and we haven't bought anyone in midfield that can play. We've got no one in midfield.
Is that fair though? Because we had Kolo Muani, we had Simmons and Kudus all on at the same time this weekend.
Yeah, but James, the problem is if you've got Kudus who hit the ground running, Spurs, Simmons who you just said needs time to adapt, right?
Absolutely.
Kolo Muani's been injured for like 3 months. Like this, like what are we expecting?
No, I agree. I'm not. I agree.
You need balance, James. You need balance.
Yeah.
We've got nothing on the left, and not one of our midfielders can pass a ball. Not one of. And what I mean by that is, I mean like that. Not one of our midfielders. Their natural game is dictating, like a Tonali, right? Like an Adam Wharton. Like we don't have this type of footballer. And then the biggest issue you've got is whenever that ball goes up top, none of our forwards can hold the ball up. So
do you know what? I disagree with that a little bit, Savva, because yesterday the one spark that I saw in that yesterday is I saw Muani consistently being able to bring the ball in and holding his man off. I think he has got that, but obviously he's not fully fit and he's not up to speed with the Prem. But I did see that in him. I did see him holding up the ball and bring people in and wanting to turn and run at players as well, which is something that Richarlison, Solanke, etc. they don't do. So I'll give him a bit of leeway right now because he hasn't had a lot of game time. Hopefully he can come good, but Simmons worries me a little bit with how long it's taking him.
I mean, I think the question we can ask here, I think at the moment he's in a very similar situation to what Ange was. And what I mean by that is, I said with Ange after 7 games, this football that he's playing isn't sustainable and it's going to get sussed and we're going to get caught out on it. Lo and behold, after about, I'd say 12 games, we definitely got sussed out on it and definitely got cooked on it. And I think Frank is basically in exactly the same predicament. This style of football, do we even know what style of football we're actually playing at the moment? Because maybe he's trying to suss it out, get the best out of it, this and that. There's loads of ways we can go around it. But we keep playing like we've played over the past few games with Chelsea, with Monaco. Newcastle, a bit more forgivable because we created chances. Other ways we've played, we're already getting sussed out. And it's basically the same way as it was with Ange. Except with this one, take Kudus out of the game, job done. Focus on Porro. He can't defend come love nor money. Take him, we'll have him.
We only lost by 1 goal. We didn't get spanked 5-0.
Well, we should have got spanked 6-0.
I think
my point is,
record's still one of the best.
Every team is doing the same thing and focusing on Porro now, like they were with Ange. It's the same sort of problem there that he's got to find a way to get around this. Because otherwise they keep focusing on Porro because he can't defend come love nor money, bar a moment here or there, because he's an attacking wing back and a very bloody good one at that, not a right back. That is what they're focusing on. Take Kudus out the game, focus on Porro. Every single one of them. So he's got to find a way to adapt around that to stop that happening. If we keep playing the same way we're playing, every team's just going to do exactly the same to us, and it's going to rub on it properly. I still think this team, as we've got it at the moment, we've got some better players in the positions we already had covered. I mean, obviously you want Kudus there instead of Johnson, whatever else. But I still think we're totally using the wrong formation for the team we've got. We should still be playing a 3-4-2-1, 5-2-2-1, whatever you want to call it. And he had the players there to do it the other day. Paulinho could have handled the defence role as he has done, and we could have gone Bentancur and Sarr in the middle.
You would take Paulinho out of, you take our best midfielder out of midfield to go to 3 at the back.
Because I feel at 3 at the back we'd be more sustainable.
Yeah, but sure, if you've got the players to play 3 at the back, yeah, but you don't. You don't take Paulinho. You don't take your DM out, do you? We've been crying out for a DM for years.
Okay.
One, and you
I think
only for that game. Only for that game, he did. Yeah, I'm not denying that, but he did it. He did it for Newcastle.
As I said the other day, going 5 at the back. Let's just call it what it is. 5 at
just
the back
for that game
against Chelsea at home is embarrassing.
I agree. I don't know why we need to play 5 at the back at home. I don't get it.
But
when you're as poor as we are up front,
to be 3 at the back,
you've got to do something with 3 at the back and get the best out of the players we've got on there. Okay, bringing Paulinho back. That's going to be what it's going to be. Some agree, some don't. But he did it against Newcastle quite happily. And with that, when you've got someone like Chelsea coming down on you, and there we knew they were going to be coming at us love nor money. We have played always best when we do a counter-attacking style. Until we get a players that can play this 4-2-3-1 formation, obviously someone on the left, we need someone in the middle who can press it forward, make something in the middle to get it to the playmaker up front. We're still not sustainable for an attacking style of play. We can't close a team down. The problem we've got at Spurs is we're too... we don't go out there and tell a team, we're going to play like this, you're going to play like that. Literally every team we play against, bar maybe 1 or 2, comes at us and says, right, we're going to play like this, Spurs. And then we basically play how we need to play it, how they make us play. We don't make them play a certain way. And with that, every team that has come at us and they forced us to basically play a counter-attacking direct role, we usually come off better. That's why we always do against City. Other teams that we've played, when we play counter-attack direct, because the other team has forced us to play that way, is how we look better. And do you want to do that at home? Chelsea are better. Full stop. You do what you got to do at the end of the day. And for me, the team you put out there, the team you put out there,
they blow us in the table, less points than us. This isn't the Drogba Chelsea,
and they
could have Chelsea.
Fine. And they could have easily done us 5-0. Yeah, and they could have easily done us 5-0 with how we played. And he was going to put Bergville out on the left.
But I'll be honest, our issue, I don't think our issue yesterday was formation. Our issue yesterday that Chelsea outworked us massively.
They did.
They came to us and pressed us from minute 1 to the end of it. This wasn't formation related for me. I thought they outworked us yesterday, and we had no answer for that. And Frank, to be fair to him, came out and said, didn't he? Said we weren't up to their energy yesterday. They outmatched us in every level of that. And they forced the mistake. We could argue it was our mistake of making it, but they forced it. They pressed high on Simmons. They then pressed on Van der Ven, who then makes the mistake. And then they pressed on Spence as well that caused it. So for me, this wasn't formation. We made the mistake that conceded the goal yesterday came down to their high energy and their high pressing. And it completely killed us. And we had no answer to it. So I don't think it mattered what formation played yesterday. We weren't up to scratch yesterday. That's the difference for me. I get what Lee's saying, though. We aren't conceding stupidly amounts of goals. We probably should have done yesterday. Chelsea
is that because we're that good, Perchy, or is that because of luck?
I think that's been because of luck. Defensive records in
I don't think it.
Premier League.
So yesterday didn't have luck in it that they could have finished come love or money, and our goalkeeper.
Either a goal goes in or it doesn't.
Okay. And we weren't lucky against and we weren't lucky against Monaco either when they had how many shots and should have put it in. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with luck, but you can't live on luck.
Nobody's living off it, but you can. It's easy to isolate and pick isolated instances. Yeah, I agree on those. Thought we weren't great yesterday. We only lost 1-0. We weren't great against Monaco. Didn't concede against them. And you're right. You can't live off that. But there's equally a lot of other examples this season where defensively we've been phenomenal this season. So I think you have to balance out. You can pick out the certain instances, but we're not conceding. Lee's right. We're not conceding loads of goals. yesterday was a horror show. We were awful. Proper Halloween moment. It was dreadful. But we aren't going out there getting spanked 5-0. Chelsea missed chances yesterday. Keeper did a good job again. Credit to Vicario again. He was brilliant, I think, again. You know when the man of the match goes to
my fucking goalkeeper.
I knew you were going to pipe up, Flowers. But yeah,
I don't think the issue is at the back. Defense. I don't think the issue is at the back either. I don't think we're bad at the back. It's just there has been a few games now where, okay, we only lost it 1-0, whatever. But nobody can tell me that game should not have been 3-0 down at half time, and anyone would have actually been surprised if we'd have lost the game 5-6-0. We had a lot of luck on our side that we only lost that 1-0, and we also had a goalkeeper making good saves. Monaco, if they would have had half their shooting boots on, they'd have put 4 past us easy. Yeah, we've got to be careful because we can't just rely on that luck the whole time. Now we've got to get some sort of stability there, basically. I don't think the back line is the problem, but the problem with the back line for me is when you've got Porro there getting focused on all the time in every game, he's going to get opened up as he's not a defender. This is why I still say 3 at the back when we can do it and use the bloody wing backs to what they do. Put Kudus in the middle, that stops 2 people crowding up on him and boxing him out the game. Until we get the players to play the way we want to play, a top manager who adapts, which Frankie's meant to do, will adapt to do what he's got to do to win at the time and then get in what he needs to play the way he wants. This is what we was complaining.
Can I ask how wing backs changes our chance creation, our forwards, our attacking? I don't see how it does. I think what that does is I think that makes us even less attacking.
Agreed.
I don't
We'd
see
have to play a counter-attack. We'd have to play more counter-attacking style, and teams do come at us.
Who are you relying on the counter-attack with, though? We haven't got what I would say naturally pacey wide men at in the team. We haven't really got pacey.
What, as wing backs? As wing backs? Yeah, but then who's Udogie? Who's Porro? Spence can get up there.
I don't think they're not what I would suggest a naturally aggressively pacey players.
But then in a 4-2-3-1, who have we got on the left and who have we got on the right? Kudus has done good, but Kudus can't even get into the game half the time because he's got 2 or 3 people on him.
Kudus isn't what I would consider a counter-attacking winger, though. He's more.
I'm not saying him for a counter-attack. I'm saying as a 4-2-3-1 at the moment, he's getting boxed out of games, and we've got nobody on the left.
For me, going into that, for me, going into that game yesterday, maybe a bit negative. I expected to lose. I think that was the best team he could have put out. I don't think he could have done much more, to be honest. My concern, if you like, trying to sort of pick things here, is the fact that we rested players against Newcastle and then we get outworked on the weekend. That for me is not acceptable, and that does have a bit.
Wait, who did we rest v Newcastle?
Rested 4 players.
4 players, yeah. Kudos, Xavi, Van der Ven.
Yeah, but Newcastle rotated more. We actually.
But Newcastle have a better squad than us. I'm talking about Tottenham, not Newcastle.
Yeah, but statistically, Spurs rotated the least out of all of the sort of top teams in the EFL Cup.
Yeah, but statistically, we've got the worst front 3 out of everyone in the cup competition.
But that's irrelevant on who we rotate, though.
No, of course it's not. No, of course it's not. Because if you're rotating and you've got players like Newcastle who they could bring into their first team who could do a job, and we've got.
It works the same with Tottenham, though. So what difference does it make if we play Richarlison or we play Matisse Tell?
No, exactly. No. This is my point. Maybe we're getting our strings crossed. I agree in that circumstances, but when you drop Van der Ven and play Polina at centre back, that's night and day. When you drop Kudos and you're bringing in whoever, it doesn't matter. There's night and day. And again, this isn't on Frank's fault. This is the years of developing of the squad. But for me, the principle for me, if you drop players, you're resting them. So you should not be then getting outworked on the following game. You should be ready and fit.
Yeah, but surely not if you're only really. It's 3 players, right? Let's be brutally honest. From that team,
Vicario got injured, didn't he? It was actually 3. Vicario was injured. He wasn't rotated. He was injured for the game.
But Vicario, first and foremost, is nothing to do with getting outworked. He's a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Neither really is Mickey Van der Ven because he's a centre back. So the whole getting outworked thing, what we're talking about Mawani and Kudus. And Mawani's not even 100% fit. You can see that anyway.
Yeah.
Look, can I go back? Chris, I want to bring you in here because you haven't spoken yet. Chris, we know it was crap yesterday, but all summer, right? When I've got people going, what a window. We've done this, right? People going, doesn't matter when the players sign. It doesn't matter if they sign early. We do this every year, Chris. And then every year we get to a few months into the season and go, God, we're really paying for the window we've had. Am I miles off there? Do you agree? Have we got the players to play the way that the fans want to play?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't said a lot or anything because I just listening to everybody. I kind of agree with everybody all at the same time, really. Yeah, it's obvious that he doesn't have the players certainly available right now and fit right now to play any kind of meaningful attacking football. But it depends. The meltdown comes from what your expectations are, right? So even though I thought we had a better window than normal, we still finished 17th last season. My expectations were that we'd be a team probably around 7th, 8th-ish. And that is what my expectations still are. So when we were 2nd and 3rd, I wasn't getting carried away with that because I think that was a little bit false. I think this is where I take Dan's point, to be fair. I think he is right that there are games where we have been a bit fortunate. And last season we were mocking the whole Ange thing of, we've only lost by 1 goal again when we were ripped apart week after week. We haven't been ripped apart week after week, but there have been games where we've been second best by a long way. So I think I said to you in a private chat, Savva, a little while ago that every game, just as football fans, we should re-evaluate our opinion on a manager every game. But one game should only move your opinion very, very slightly. But as a fan base, one game seems to switch from one end to the other. So we win 3-0 at Everton and we're amazing and the best away form in the whole of England. And then here we are a week later having a meltdown about it. So my opinion does move a little bit, but in line with my expectation. I don't think he can do a massive amount till January. That said, I think there are some valid concerns at the moment. I think there is a valid concern over just a simplified question for me would be, how did we look so structured and cohesive earlier in the season and now we look the complete opposite? That's a worry for me. And when Perch is saying we're out battled, that's more of a worry for me than having the wrong formation. Like,
can I ask you a question? Couldn't we put it simply? I don't know. I'm just asking. Couldn't we put it simply down to we don't look as structured as the beginning of the season because at the beginning of the season we were playing once a week. We're now playing every 3 or 4 days, and like James just put in, we don't have the players to rotate in. Unfortunately, this is what kills me, Chris, right? Whatever substitute he makes, people go, I can't believe he's brought on Tell. I can't believe he's brought on Richie. I can't believe he's brought on Sarr. I can't. This is our squad.
I agree. I'm super patient because I think exactly that. I think the squad is so far away from where we need it to be. However, at the same time, I still expect him to get more of a performance out of the players that were on the pitch than we had yesterday.
Sure, I completely agree.
That's where it is possible to hold 2 different views. Well, sort of, they're not contradictory views. That's my point, right? There are times when we should have done better and it's still on Frank. But for me, massive amounts of patience. I still think we've got the right guy in there. At some point, that opinion, I'm sure, will change. But I don't know what people are expecting. I remember saying after the Wolves game, we're going to have loads of games like this. This is what it's going to be like until January at the earliest, if not for most of the rest of the season. And here we are having very similar games. So this is what I kind of, unfortunately, it's what I expect because it's the players we've got.
Can I ask you a question, Chris, with that? And I completely agree. My thing is, at some point, we're going to have to do this, whether it's with Frank or anybody else. And the question is, like, is he the right guy to continue this? Because if it's not him, the next guy's going to have to start again anyway. And then it's going to be, well, he's not good enough until January. So for me, do you think, A, he's good enough to stay and get us through that? And B, is it fair to say that whoever it is going to be like this if they're a decent coach for the next 6 months to a year anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I think the second one, exactly that. I don't know. I'm not saying someone couldn't get a more attractive style or something out right now, but I'm not really sure that anyone gets any better results than we've got. So I don't really know. There's no obvious answer to me as who would be getting an amazing tune out of these players that obviously Frank isn't particularly at the moment in terms of free-flowing football. But my worry, I think, is possibly what you're alluding to, which is we've got some tough fixtures actually coming up. So let's say we had a really bad performance on Tuesday. Let's say we lost that. We've then got a Man United, which are sort of resurgent. We've then got Arsenal away and PSG away. Any manager, if you put 4 or 5 performances together like yesterday, is going to be under a lot of pressure. There's no question. So there is a scenario in which I think he may struggle to get through to January if yesterday's repeated week in, week out. But I don't know what you're supposed to do is my worry.
That's maybe more my point. At what point are we or not us, because to be fair, we've said everything here and everyone's kind of agreed or disagree, but at what point do we say, you know what, write this season off? I don't care what happens, because of course you do. Whatever happens, and we'll see where we are next season, then we'll start judging. So he's had 3 windows. Hopefully he gets rid of Archie Gray's on loan, the Odeberts, Tells, whatever he does, Richarlison leaves, Basuma leaves, and brings in fresh, then fair enough. I mean, he did kind of get sold short in the respect of, look, Xavi Simons come in and I think he's a good player, but he did want Morgan Gibbs-White. That's clear and obvious. We spent 3 weeks fighting after a guy that was never going to join due to the owner. But I think at some point Spurs fans need to say, you know what, this is going to be a bumpy ride. Let's knuckle down for this season. And then next season, because that's how I feel, next season I'll make my opinion.
James, isn't it fair to say, though, that Spurs fans do not have the stomach for any manager to come in and actually build? I hate the word rebuild, because we're not rebuilding from it. No,
I agree, yeah.
No manager we want to give time to build. Right. So and let me give you some examples, right? When I ask the question, I always say, right, who do people want to come in? And it's the same 2 names. It's the same 2 names. You can all guess it's Glasner or Areola, right? So let's have a look at those, right? And by the way, when I'm saying this, I'm not saying these guys aren't good managers. They are top managers. Glasner last year with Palace started without a win in his first 9 games, right?
Yeah.
Imagine he did that at Spurs. This fan base would lose their fucking minds. I'm not saying he would, but I'm just saying this fan base would lose their minds. Now look how good Palace are. Now look how well structured they are, because it took him some time to get them going, to build them into his identity. Yeah. Now look at Areola. In his first 11 games at Bournemouth, I think he drew 3 and lost 8 or something like that. Like it was 10 games or 11 games he didn't win. And again, now look at them. A very well-structured football team. They let in a lot of goals, by the way. But our fans say they want these managers because of what they've seen them do after time at their football club. Fair. Right? Our football club, they don't want to give them that time to actually implement that. So what we're seeing from Frank now, everyone's just assuming this is what we're going to see from Frank in a year's time.
Yeah.
Frank did this at Brentford. He did not start well at Brentford. If anyone goes and does their homework, he did not start well at Brentford. He did not start well at Bromby. Right? It was Bromby, yeah. He did not start well at Bromby. He did not start well at Brentford. And the fan bases there were saying, this guy doesn't work. And it takes time. I get it that people want to see better football. I get it. But if Areola came in here right now, are we assuming that on day one, this group of players are going to play like his current Bournemouth team that he's been with for a number of years? And that's where I think football fans are confusing the job a manager has done over a period of time with transfer windows, coaching, and getting their own squad versus, hey, I've been in a job for 10 games. Why aren't we playing brilliant football? So that, for me,
I think the thing is, there's a difference. I think the thing we're doing too early, what a lot of people do too early, I don't think there's nothing wrong with judging it as it goes, because that's all we can do at the moment. We can only judge game by game, player by player at the minute, and compare it to what we did last season. People are going to get the ump with Angie's name keep getting mentioned, but if you want to judge it, compare it how we're doing, we can only compare to last season. Once this season's over and the following season's going, we can then judge it and compare it to how Frank's gone. Now, the judgment and the judging, I think, is a thin line. For me, the judgment is what you make at the end of the season. You make a judgment of the season.
Sure.
But judging, you judge it game by game. The thing I see from what I have seen, where I am judging game by game, is that I've seen good, I've seen bloody bad, and in general, I've seen okay. So for me, the judge I'm making at the moment with what I see is at the moment, we're okay. There's definitely room for big improvement. Mm-hmm. It's like looking at Savva, for instance. We can only really make a fair judgment on him by the end of the season, or at least after about 6-7 months on how he's doing. At the moment, a judge on him would be by how we're seeing that he's done no better than Odegaard or Tell. But that's only by what we've seen. By the end of the season, he might skip it up in a couple of months' time, get his act together and start doing it properly. That's when you make the proper judgment. And I think that's what a lot of people do. They make the judgment too early instead of judging game by game how we're doing, basically, if you see where I'm coming from. So at the moment, we're okay. And at the moment, Savvy is no better than Tell and Odegaard. Hopefully all that's going to change.
As a fan base, though, we've got an issue, right? Because the comparison that you just made, Savva, the issue is that the fans of Bournemouth, of Palace, are completely accepting of what their club is and where they expect them to be.
True.
They're overachieving. The issue that we seem to have, and this is one that I can't get my head around, is that we seem to think, or certain Spurs fans in the fan circle zone, if you want to call it right now, seem to think that we should be at the top, and we have not got the team for that. These fans need to accept that it's not a Frank issue, although he's not completely devoid of responsibility, but it is a team issue. We've got a club that thinks it's here, and we've got a team that's pretty much here, right? And we need to accept that the likes of, and again, this is the bit that I don't get, the likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, Aston Villa, maybe Bournemouth and Brentford and some of the other teams, we need to accept that we're all in this pool together, right? We are going to lose to them. We're going to beat them. We're going to beat a Man City. We're going to beat... Why everyone's, flying off the handle right now, I don't get. Newcastle beat us because they were the better team on Wednesday, not because we were absolute crap. And it's almost like fans are treating us like we're Man City losing to a Sunderland or a Leicester or something like that. That's the kind of mentality that's going on. I fully expect that any of these games could go either way because that's where we are. That's where we're sitting right now. Until we spend the money and get better players, that's where we are. Simple as that. That's why I'm not crying about it.
So the manager, what he has to do is make the best of what he's got and get something out of what he's got, isn't it?
Dan, I get you. I do. Hold on, Savva. Savva, hold on.
He done that?
I didn't say
Dan,
did I?
Dan, I completely agree.
I always hear this, that he's got to be getting more out of the players. He's got to be getting better. Hasn't he done that? He took over a team in 17th, right? A team that lost every game, nearly. Oh, it felt like that. Definitely in the second half of the season, right? And no one talks about any of the positives he's done. Have you noticed that, guys? No one talks about any of the positives he's done. No one says, thank God we don't concede loads of goals. Right? Thank God we don't have a highlight. Like, no one talks about that. So hasn't he? He has done it, but what he's not done the sexy bit. He's not done the aesthetically pleasing bit that
he
fans
hasn't got the
want.
players to do that.
So there you go. So right now, if I turn around and said to you, look at the state of Spurs' squad. We haven't even got a fucking left winger or a striker, right? And if I had said to any Spurs fan, that will be the table after the first 10 games of the season. Please tell me a Spurs fan that would have said that is not good. Please. Who?
No. But I don't like that kind of argument because I think there is context. Well, because I think our next run of games are tough. So I think after our next 6-5 games, that ain't going to look like that. Yeah, so I feel like you can kind of not. I don't know what the correct way is, but I think.
But it's not happened yet,
after 3 games. What's that? Sorry.
You can't just think it's not happened yet.
Things that
I'm not saying it can't happen, but say we lose our next 3 and we got down to 15, then it does everything change based on 3 games.
you could
Yeah, but it hasn't happened yet.
You could flip that and say if we don't lose our next 3, you go. It's a different. So if buts are maybe, right? Cool. So
absolutely.
I think the point I wanted just to sort of step in on was it's ironic. I find the irony of a lot of this. I've seen it all from all last season, right? All last season, I was told, Savva, you know, we were streaming and stuff, doing stuff. All I heard last season was the squad that Ange has is mid-table. It's not good enough. Blah blah blah. We've almost got a similar squad, barring a couple in and a couple out. And now all of a sudden, we're now talking about this. This is a league. This is a team that should be higher than 5th in the league. Like I find it really silly.
Would you say he's got a better? Would you, just out of a question, just simple question, would you say he's actually got a better team than what Ange had by the end?
I think it's about similar. You swap some with Kudos. Again, I didn't think we had a very good strike force. You could argue if you account for injuries, I don't always do, but I'll use it for this argument. At the moment, with the long-term injuries that we have had at this football club, in the likes of without James Maddison, we're nowhere near with the quality we have last season. Let's be fair. Do people think if James Maddison was playing right now, we would have the lack of creativity that we have at the moment? I think he is the glue that would change this whole thing, right? And all last season, people bemoaned Maddison, by the way, and we're looking at us so lacking in quality in the final third. I just don't get it, right? Like I always go back to last season. Last season, we lost so many games of football, so many, to the point where it got to the point of you just watched knowing we were going to lose, right? The manager, and like Savva hits the nail on the head in the point of the manager, what his first job to come into it was make us hard to beat. Don't concede, bucket loads of goals every week. We're not doing that. Yeah, and the problem is people now are looking, going, oh, we're so boring to watch. Well, when you're missing Kulusevski, Maddison, I can't believe I'm saying it, Solanke. I don't even rate him, but I mean, compared to what we've got at the moment, I'd have him in a heartbeat up front. Where do people expect him? We don't have a left winger that I go competent. I can trust you out on the left hand side. But yeah, look, if we compare to yesterday was crap. But just to sort of go on what James was saying, like, yeah, we could lose the next 3. We could equally win the next 3, shithousing, if that's what you want to call it, winning 1-0s, and then you go and look at the table and go, what is everyone complaining about? I've always it feels weird when people are judging before we've played every team. I always find that really, really a weird way of doing things. We've only played just over half the teams that we can play.
That's what I was saying, Perchy, between judging how we're doing and making the judgment. People are already making the judgment that Frank screwed it up, it's over, it's done, it's dusted, whatever else. Some people are already doing that, whereas others are judging game by game. Game by game at the moment, I think we're round about the right place. We've done okay. We haven't done good. We haven't done bad. We've done okay. I don't think it matters who we play up front because they're not getting any service, no matter who it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, with Charlison, you're not going to do much worse than that. But even if we had a quality striker up there, I don't think you'd be seeing that many goals off of it because he's not getting no bloody service. We got no playmaker there whatsoever. Because Savva, like I said, well, does he even know what he's meant to be doing here? Because 1 minute he's there, 1 minute he's there. He seems to be everywhere, and he's going to take a bit of time to settle. So whoever we've got up front, he's going to have it tricky as well because there ain't many strikers that can actually feed themselves these days, you know, like Harry Kane can. And 1 or 2 other strikers can. They're not getting no service up there. They're getting nothing up there, basically. Kudus is struggling to get totally involved in a game properly because he's getting man-marked out of the game, which isn't his fault. And I think considering he's got 2 up to 3 players on him at a time, I think he's actually doing pretty well. But there's not much he can bring out of it as such. So at the moment, I think we are roundabout in the right place. If we was a place lower or whatever, I think we've done okay so far. Big room for improvement, but we need the players to do it.
I think sticking up for Frank as well. Look, you have to look at. I mean, I criticise him as well as praise him, and as well as he's fighting everybody in the seat that he's got. But for me personally, like Odegaard is basically a new signing. He didn't play many. He was injured most of last season. Moani is a new signing. Kudus is a new signing. Simmons is a new signing. Polinia is a new signing. That's 6 of the starting 11 that's new. We can't expect Frank to kind of work miracles either and go, right, 6 new players, off you go. I know a lot of people are comparing it to Sunderland, but Sunderland's worked fair enough. But there's been a hell of a lot of teams that have come in and done that. Chelsea, they're the same. You bring in that amount of players and it just doesn't work. It takes time. And that's where I think the adult conversations are so few and far between, because no one can actually have a conversation and say, "You're like." For me, I criticise Frank so much for dropping players for the Champions League. That for me is a no-go. But you have to see what he's trying to do at the same time. You can't just go, right, that's it, Frank out. I didn't like that one decision, Frank out. You have to see that he has been given a pretty tricky situation. We finished 17th last year. And I don't like saying this because it was probably one of the best moments of being a Spurs fan. But I also think that winning the Europa League is such a burden on him also, because Ange done that. No one ever talks about 17th. It's like, yeah, but we were European champions. The songs, we European champions, we know what we are. Like, there is so much on Frank to hit the ground running and stay running. But the moment he does fall off, everyone is going to be asking questions. Everybody. Well, they should ask questions, but it's so harsh. And
it was the start of the season. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. But even with the whole home fans booing and stuff, when you actually speak to them, you say, "What are you booing for?" Well, the amount we pay, and we're seeing this. Again, that's nothing to do with Frank. So he's getting so many beaten by so many different sticks. Eventually, the guy's going to go down and he's going to foul. So this is where I do agree with like what Savva says. You've kind of got to let him just run his horse and see what happens for a little while.
We've got to give it a season. But one thing I did say at the very start of this, and I think a few people did agree with me, in some ways, he had a harder job than Ange. Like I've said, Ange had the easiest job to win this fan base over, kick the bloody ball forward, and he run over 90% of it. The only easy-ish part he had was sorting out part of that defence, and that was bring it back 5-10 yards and don't invert, and that's 15 goals less conceded, most probably. The problem he did have that Ange didn't have, and that other managers haven't had, is that I'd still say there was easy about 30, let's say 30%, yeah? Give or take 5%, I'm giving a random number, but there was a large amount who still wanted Ange in come love nor money. And to an extent, almost don't want to see failure at Spurs, but at the same time don't want to see Frank do better than Ange because they were so desperate to keep Ange at Spurs. And that's a big burden he's had on his back from the start. People already on his back, comparing it left, right and centre, because certain people, and quite a large amount, wanted Ange to stay. So he had that on his back straight away as well. Ange didn't have a problem like that at all. Because all Ange had to do was tell the team to kick the ball forward. So that's another thing he's had on his back from the bloody start, which isn't right, but it is what it is in that aspect.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is I think he was a bit harsh with the defence. I do think he was a bit harsh because I don't think that was an easy job. We've said Porro can't defend. For me, Udogie can't defend, or he's shown moments, but generally he hasn't been very good defensively.
But bring it back 10 yards and invert both of them.
Yeah, of course. But we've turned.
I didn't say totally. Make it better. Then is the word.
Yeah, we've turned Romero. Look at Romero last season to now. Look at Romero last season to look at him now. For me now, I think there's an argument to say he's been one of the best defenders in the league, and I know that's extreme, but I think he's been that good this season. We can't go, well, yeah, that's Romero, and not give none of that credit to Frank. You know what I mean? Like, that's not adapting little things. That's turning him into a bloody good player. Same with Van der Ven. Van der Ven
not
for me,
consistent though, James. Romero has not been consistent at all. He's had about 4 very good games. Yeah, he has not been consistent. He's been up and down in games.
Yeah, I disagree.
I'd say he's had 4 good games, and I'd say he's had 3 pretty bad games. He hasn't been consistent. Well, let's compare him to let's compare him to Van der Ven. Who's had the more consistency?
But that's a completely different. That was my next point. That's completely different. That's completely different.
Right. If Van der Ven has been consistent, are you saying Romero has played to the same standards of Van der Ven all season?
I think, yeah, I do. Yeah, I have. Yeah, because I think it wasn't there. Wasn't there a stat where I think we've only conceded when Romero's been off the pitch until recently? Wasn't it something like that? It was. He missed the game at the beginning, and I don't think him and Van der Ven conceded a goal for ages. You have to put 2 and 2 together. Look, Ledley King was always better with Michael Dawson. Does that mean that Michael Dawson made Ledley King better? No.
My point is,
you can't
Romero
say
has had
one's
some
better
very
than the
good
other. They're
games,
different players.
but he's had bad games as well. He has been
this season, personally, I
he's
think
had good games. He's had bad
I
games.
don't think he's had a bad game other than Bournemouth.
Okay, fair enough if that's how you say it, but he hasn't been as consistent as Van der Ven.
Can I just go back
his
to
first bad game yesterday?
Just to talk about like a lot. I kind of throw it back to you guys in the sense of, has Frank come in and fans have put the most unrealistic expectations on this manager immediately? And I want people to understand this before the comments go mental. Was winning the Europa League the greatest but the worst thing to now have happened? Because now, no matter what, Frank is going to be marked against a manager that won the Europa League. And now all of a sudden, right, now we're basically judging Thomas Frank on winning the Europa League. But one, Thomas Frank can't win it. He's not in that competition. He can't be in that competition. And all of a sudden now it's, well, Frank's not going to win us anything. Well, hang on. He's competing in better competition whilst having to rebuild a whole football team in the sense of stabilizing from us not getting beat every week. And I think people need to really realize and recognize that, because I don't think what people don't understand is that it's easy for getting battered in the league every week for Ange Postecoglou to then go and win the Europa League against an awful Man United side the way that we did and stuff. But Chris, we've had this conversation off air and stuff in the sense of it was absolutely awful to watch. But why can't we just sit there and take time to go, okay, look, this season's going to be hard. Almost we needed this season without Europe in a weird way, so we could go, okay, we just need to start again. And I just feel like at the moment we're now at a stage where there's such unrealistic expectations on Thomas Frank. I mean, we're 5th in the league. I don't get it. I find it mad. Sorry.
Patrick, would you say, see, I was having this chat with my uncle earlier, right? And he said something similar in terms of, he said, the worst thing that happened to Tottenham from a fan's expectations was winning the Europa League, because what it actually did was paper over what a mess the football club was in, right? And as we said, if we had not won that final, right, the club was still in an absolutely shambolic mess without winning the trophy. The club was in a shambolic mess with winning the trophy. And what I don't understand about any of this is everything at Spurs has changed in the last 6 months. Everything, from brand new CEO, Levy's gone, and we've got a new non-exec director. Yeah, we've got new scouts. We've got a new director of football partnership. We've got a new partnerships manager, right? We've got a new manager, brand new backroom staff, right? We've got new owners, if you will, in terms of the kids properly taking over. Everything at Tottenham has changed. Everything. And fans think, come on, be brilliant immediately. We are 5th in the league. Do I expect us to stay 5th between now and the end of the season? I don't. Will there be times where we might lose a couple and drop down to 10th, and then we might win a couple and go back up? Sure. But that shows how tight the league is. But right now, I don't understand. Yes, question it. Football hasn't been great to watch. But when we're saying, should he be doing better with what he's got? Well, we've got the best away record in the league. No one's talking about it. We've got one of the best defenses in the league. No one's talking about it, right? We are the second best team in terms of scoring from set pieces, which is very good. No one's talking about it. All of these different things that are happening at once. And our fans, 10 games in, not all our fans, 10 games in, do not want to let this play out and say, let's see what happens when this manager gets players. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens when he's actually allowed to go and buy a centre forward, a left winger, a ball playing midfielder. I've never got this about Spurs fans. I've never seen it as overreactive as I am right now with where we are. We are in the Champions League. We are in the Champions League and have not lost in that competition. We are 5th in the Premier League, right? The only teams that are above us that probably you would say shouldn't be, maybe, is Bournemouth. The other,
who don't you think should be above us, right?
Right.
Like, it's mental. It's crazy.
I'm going to back James up a bit here, though, because I think his point is, correct me if I'm wrong, James, but I'm uncomfortable with us pushing that point right now that we're 5th in the league, because I don't think we probably deserve to be. I don't think we will be in a few weeks' time. But the argument is still true.
Why don't we deserve to be 5th?
Right now, because I think we have been a bit lucky in a few games. I don't think what I watch is not a team
the points aren't factual.
Well, if the points are factual, then no one can have any opinion on the league, right? Because it's just a fact. So opinions become irrelevant.
No. But factually, we are 5th. It's where we deserve to be.
I didn't say factually we weren't. I said it based on what I see is not a team that is 5th in the league. I don't think we will be 5th in the league. I think we'll drop down the league. Then you can't push forward that argument. But the underlying argument is still true. So I think that was the point James was making earlier.
I think I do get what Chris is saying there with James, and I'm with you on this one, 50-50. In the aspect of a team can be 3rd, 4th, 5th. Do they deserve to be there? When they've had a significant amount of luck, you can actually sit there. Now, I'm not just saying this is Spurs. I'm saying football in general. You can actually sit there and say, bloody hell, that team has been proper lucky these past 4 games. They don't actually quite... Here's a perfect example. Past 2 finals that England made it to the final. They got it because they got there, but did they deserve to be there?
Honestly, I'll be honest. I have no idea what you're talking about. Like,
the argument's not.
Right. I'll ask you again.
Who deserves to be?
I'll put it a different way.
Above us right now?
The luck is irrelevant.
I wasn't talking about Spurs. I was talking about in general. I can see the point they're bringing across.
I'm asking
though, the deserve bit,
who deserves to be above Tottenham?
The point isn't really about luck. It's don't push 5th now when it's convenient because we are 5th. Because when we're that destroys the argument when we're then 12th or 13th if we're going to be that in a couple of years.
Actually, gents, do you know what, gents?
Let's
all forgive Ange, right? Let's all forgive. No, guys. Let's all forgive Ange for being 17th, right? Because we only lost by 1 goal, so we were just unlucky, right? I've forgiven Ange. 17th, we were just unlucky every game. There we go, job done.
That's not what we're saying.
It is. Luck is just a thing that's made up. You either win on the day or you don't.
If you let us finish what we're saying is chatting over, we might have a chance of understanding it.
Yeah. What we're saying personally, what I was saying personally is people keep saying we're 5th. But if we lose to United and Arsenal, which is likely, what is going to be the comeback then? We're 12th.
Yeah, but James, you don't know that is going to happen. Yeah. The point I was bringing across is I think Spurs are round about the right place. I think Spurs are in round about the right place, give or take a place, down a place.
We are.
Whatever,
we are where we should be.
I'm not denying that. The point I was making, where I can see the point that they're bringing across, is you can look at football and say a team don't deserve to be there, yeah? But I wasn't saying it was Spurs. I was just seeing the point you are making and gave an example of why you can look at certain things and say
can I add something on that then?
Like England being in the final the past 2 times, they did not deserve to be in that final.
I didn't say, in fairness, 1 second, you go after me. One second, I didn't say we was lucky to be 5th. That I personally didn't say that. I just said a lot of people go, yeah, but we're 5th. And I just said, well, the run of games we have coming up is highly unlikely that we won't be 5th. Then what is going to be the main defending point of Frank? Is it going to be, well,
that was... If you don't want to judge league position, if we're not judging league position, what would be the reason for people saying Frank out? Not saying you, I know no one on this panel is, but if we're not judging league position, right? Why has Vitor Pereira been sacked at Wolves?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think people are saying Frank out because of the style of football.
Yeah, that's what. No, but hang on. This is more.
That's what I think, Dad. I'm not, so I'm just
I hear.
But if your counter to that is we're fifth, then when we're not fifth, it becomes harder to counter, doesn't it?
But the point is, Chris, what I've been trying to explain here, we're looking at this in the gaze of Tottenham Hotspur. When we say Spurs probably shouldn't be fifth, well, there's an argument that you could say Liverpool fans would be going, well, Liverpool shouldn't be third in the league because they've lost 4 in a row. Like, it's what we do is we solely focus on what Tottenham are doing, which is, I get it, we're Tottenham fans, but we don't look at elsewhere. Chelsea, for example, beat us. They lost to Sunderland the other day. Like, and then their fans are having a meltdown for losing it.
I think the point that me and James are making is that the position in the league table is irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether we deserve to be 5th or 12th. This is a long-term thing, and where we are is not going to be fixed quickly. If we happen, because of a run of fixtures, to be in the top 6, great. If we don't, but it doesn't change the problem that Frank has got to fix, whether we're...
No, I agree. No one's disagreed with that, though.
But then if you put how high we are in the league table as part of your defence, if that changes, even though the project hasn't changed,
doesn't that show that the problem? Doesn't that show that the problem isn't as severe as we're all melting down about? I'm not saying you, but I'm on about the fan base. The problem's maybe not as severe as everyone's making out to be, because at the moment we've won 5 in 10. We've won half the games that we've played. Right, there are games there that we should have probably won, and games that we've been awful in. Happens. But you could argue that with all the teams that are on 17 points right now, there are games that they should have won and they didn't, right? There's Spurs, Chelsea, Sunderland, and Man United, right? Man United 3 or 4 games ago, everyone's talking about how they're going to get relegated, right? And all of a sudden they win 4 in 6, and at a click of a finger, it changes, right? So my point here is I agree. See it out longer term, I agree. But the way that people are melting down about us, the reason why some of us are using we're 5th in the league. Well, the reason we're 5th in the league is because we've won half our games. Yeah, we want to win more, of course we do. But there are meltdowns that Liverpool fans want begging Arnie Slot to be sacked because they lost 4 in a row, right? You could argue, well, with that form, Liverpool fans will go, well, we shouldn't really be sat 3rd in the league. We lost 4 in a row. The league position is the league position because that's where you are, right?
Can we look at if we look at this table, right, guys, as well, right? Before everyone's having this epic meltdown about what Frank's got to do and he's not getting the best. If we actually look at this, 3 football clubs in this country have won more games than Tottenham. Funnily enough, it's the big 3, right? So the only teams that have won more games than Tottenham this season are the big 3 that are the favourites, the top 3 favourites to win the league, right? If we look at how many people have lost less games than us, right? You're looking at Palace, Sunderland, Bournemouth, and Arsenal. 4 teams have lost less than us. We're looking at defence, right? How many teams have conceded fewer than us? 2. If I'm looking at that, Sunderland and Arsenal. So if you look at the number of goals scored, how many teams have scored more goals than us, right? Again, it is only the big 4 in the country. It is Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. So right now, Spurs are the 4th highest scorers in the league, the 3rd best defence in the league. Only the top 3 have won more games than us, right? We've got the best away form in the country. What is the Like, I don't get it. What is the actual meltdown when people are going, Frank this, Frank, where's the meltdown?
Do you think it's got something also down to the way that I find a lot personally of you do get a lot of people go on about the Spurs way of playing? I mean, someone please do tell me the Spurs way. I don't know what the Spurs way is. I mean, if we want to go back to World War II and that, we might find out the Spurs way. But I'm sorry, I ain't that old. And TV weren't really that good then. So when it comes down to that, it's the style of where Frank is more of a pragmatic coach. He's more of a pragmatic player of football, the way he'll have his team playing. Pretty much no matter what team he's got there, it will still be more pragmatic than how other managers will use it as such. And while you're winning that way, you're still going to get significant Spurs fans complaining about it because they don't like the pragmatic way. It's not the Spurs way. It's not this way. But they will deal with it, basically. But the second it doesn't look like it's going right, they will come down on it like a ton of bricks. Basically, Conte number 2. Do you think that's got something to do with it?
But what is the Spurs? I'm not saying you've said this. What is this?
You tell me. But I see it a lot of the time on chat and everything, Savva, and I hear it off others.
I hear you, Dan, but this
the
mythical
Spurs way, I don't know.
This mythical Spurs way, right? If I look at the last 30 years, I thought we played some really, really top football under Harry Redknapp. I thought we played some top football under Pochettino. Other than that, when did we actually ever play this mythical, brilliant football that we're always against, right? We've spent the last 2 years, right, apparently playing good football, but getting ripped wide open and losing week after week after week after week after week, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing, and this is what fucking frustrates the life out of me, Frank has told everyone, he has told everyone over and over again, the first thing I have to do is make us hard to beat. He said, that team conceded too many goals last year. We have to stop the bleeding. That was his sentence when he joined. We have to stop the bleeding. He's come in. We've conceded 8 goals in 10 Premier League games, right? 8 in 10. Compare that to last year. It's fucking magnificent, right? But because we are not playing this mythical, sexy football that apparently we play every year as Tottenham, this manager is getting it in the year from everyone. But maybe, just maybe, if we give the manager the players he needs moving forward, that all starts to change and we'll be a lot more effective and we'll be prettier on the eye.
But how many
he's downgraded.
Sorry.
He's downgraded. And what I mean by that is, look at the forwards he had at at Brentford, sorry. Look at the forwards he had at Brentford. Look at the forwards he's got at Tottenham.
All players that we said we'd have at Tottenham, right?
But look at what it was as well.
Absolutely, Lee.
In the aspect of people said last year, one thing, Perchy, people said with Ange, and people on YouTube said it, YouTube shows, and also a lot of people in chat, I would rather lose 6-3 to Liverpool than dig in deep, play pragmatic football and win a game 1-0.
But our fans don't know what they want, so I'm kind of, I forget that they don't actually know.
I'm just saying what was said. I don't agree with that. I don't really care how you bloody win, yeah, as long as you flipping do it. And it doesn't always have to be pretty on the eye. But a lot of people agreed and also said on other channels they would rather see a game where we lose 6-3 and give it a fight all the way through it than win a game 1-0. Maybe that's just part of the problem.
Do you know what someone messaged me today? Right?
No.
I can't remember. If it's one of you, I'm stealing it. I'm taking it to my own. Someone messaged me today and said, what sums up this fan base and not knowing what they want is when we were losing 5-1 at home to Liverpool, the Spurs fans were singing Ange's name. We were 5-1 down, being ripped apart, and they were singing his name. We lose to Chelsea 1-0, and we're booing and asking Frank out. Now you tell me, anybody, with that sort of a fan base, what the fuck do we want?
That is exactly what I was basically just saying. That is exactly the point I was just making.
I know.
You're right.
It's quite a touchy subject, difficult subject when you want a manager out because of the style of play as well. Because for me, like you said Harry Redknapp there, you said Pot. For me, both very, very entertaining. You've got someone like Klopp. But all 3 of those are entertaining football, but they're all completely different. Klopp, the press was insane. But how many goals did they concede for the first 2 or 3 seasons? Not 2 or 3 like 10 games, 2 or 3 seasons. It takes a long time. And to judge a manager in 10 games on style of play, look, I'm not happy with that, but I'm not going to judge him over that because all of these things take so much time. The only person that really has done it, to be fair, is Harry Redknapp. He's the only guy that I can remember that got dropped on absolute crap and overnight turned it into wine. He's the only one that I recognise of doing that.
Wouldn't you agree, though, James, that when you're pulling out the likes of Harry Redknapp and and Poch, the biggest difference that we had, because they had lovely football, is because we had competent players that made it look easy.
Football players, right? Bingo.
Dele Alli, Kane, Son, Ericsson, Bale, Modric,
Well, they were actually bought in though as well, weren't they? A lot of those were bought in, so you can't.
That level.
Well, you
if
can't
we had
judge
those
them
level
either,
players, Frank would be at the top of the table, I'm sure.
Yeah, but also, like you're saying, Poch didn't come in and it wasn't magic straight away. Like it wasn't. The likes of Dele Alli were signed. All those sort of players that we mentioned were signed, and then they were bought through. So again, I'm not disagreeing. I'm agreeing with you. Like the style of play is going to take a season, which is why for me, I said at some point Spurs fans are going to have to say, "Buckle up, let's do this, get this out of the way." Because if we start like this style of play next season, I'm all for it. I'm like, okay, nothing's changed. You need to be building something, but to write him off now, I just don't understand it, because like everything takes time. Like we said, Oriola takes time. All the big guys that are coming in that people want, Glasner, takes time. You know, they've gone from literally 7 men out per attack to actually securing the back. Like me and Dan disagreed earlier. I think what he's done with that back line has been nothing short of a miracle, because everybody was slating Romero last season. Everybody. I'm a Romero fan, and even I was like, it might be time to go. Van der Ven, one-on-one defending last season. If anyone tells you he was good one-on-one defending last season, they're lying. It was shocking. The amount of times he got put on his ass. Haven't really seen that this season. So for me, the guy has done miracles with that back line.
Isn't Lee's point there, though, for me was spot on. First and foremost, right? When Poch joined, can you imagine, right? If Poch had joined now during this era, right, and had the start he had, right, we were awful for the first 3 months under Pochettino. If I remember, it was not good, right?
No.
And then he went on, coached the team, and suddenly everyone now is, oh my god, the greatest manager we've had in the Premier League era, yada yada yada, right? Harry Redknapp, when he joined, right, he had competent footballers. If you look at both of what those two had, right, Harry Redknapp, first of all, had footballers in the team like Tommy Huddleston and Modric, who can pass a football, right? Proper midfielders that, listen, whatever you thought of Tommy Huddleston, one of the best passers of a ball I've seen at the lane, right? Modric, class. Van der Vaart, right? Lennon, Bale, Defoe, Crouchy. You look at that, right? Then you look at Poch, Dembele, right? Ericsson, Kane, Son. Now, obviously, he melded that team together, but competent footballers. When I look now at our midfield and forwards, none of these players we've got now, I'm going to say this, none of them other than Paulinho get into those teams, because none of them are that technical ability. Maybe you could have the argument for Kudus, but this is the problem. We all want to see Spurs really nice slip football, keeping the ball, possession, pass. I look at all of these people, and these are players that are raved about. I look at Sarr. He is dreadful with the football. Right? Bergvall, wasteful, constantly giving the ball away. Bentancur, don't know which Bentancur you're going to get from 1 week to the next. Right? Gray, whatever Gray is. Basuma. Where are the players to play this way that the fans want to see?
Everyone,
Look,
look at Pedro Porro yesterday. I don't think he made a successful forward pass yesterday. He was awful.
Look at him all season. He's been done the same way all season.
Isn't everything that's being said here where this magic is going to come from, that we're going to just start passing it around, playing football? I don't understand it. What do people want?
The way it is,
happen at a click of a finger.
Yeah, but it's not just that bit. Yeah, the way it is in some ways you're never going to win, and that's the aspect of when it comes to an opinion.
No, Frank will never win. By the way,
no manager will ever completely win, even when he wins stuff. Yeah, with certain supporters. Why? Because when it comes down to an opinion is opinion, and no one can say the opinion is wrong unless you have a fact. Now, an opinion is, I personally don't mind pragmatic football, and like an Italian way, sit back, take what they got. 3 direct balls up there, put it in the back of the net. I like watching that. That's my opinion. Other people can't stand watching that. They want to see gung-ho football. They want to see it. Attack, 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 press. Fine. That's their opinion. There's no wrong or right there. And then you're going to see others that are more than happy watching tip-tap, tip-tap. I can't stand watching that style of football. But that's me. So when it comes down to certain things, and definitely on the Spurs fan base here, when it's not out-and-out attacking football, even when we're going to be winning games, you're going to see a very high percentage of a fan base, I think, still complaining about it. Because, again, it comes back to the point of what I said. It's not the Spurs way as such. You're never going to keep everybody happy. For me, at the end of the day, as long as we're winning, I'll be happy with it. No, I might not like the football, but fine. But you've always got those supporters that go back to what we said earlier, that would rather see us 6-3 and have an out-and-out gung-ho fight with Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Juventus, let's put the teams on there, than sit back, take everything they've got and scrounge a 1-0 out of it. That comes down to an opinion at the end of the day. Yeah, some people's opinions are a bit more warped than others, but opinions are opinions. Some people just will not accept that style of play no matter what it gives them. That's their problem. They got to deal with it, but they're also entitled to that opinion.
Can I read you something, guys? This was sent to me. I want to read this, and I want to see if you guys agree with this. So this is what somebody sent me today. I can't take the credit for this. Somebody said, you can't judge a bloke based on the absolute dross that he has at his disposal. At Brentford, he had Vissa and Buemo, Tony, etc., all capable forwards that played his way. Look at the collection of crap he has here. All the happy clappers were prepared to give Frank Ange time week after week. They need to realise he's inherited the rubbish that we had last year that finished 17th and lost 22 games. This will take time to fix. You can't rinse and repeat. Hiring and firing managers or the elite hiring and firing managers or the Levy approach remains. Have faith, back the manager and buckle up, as we will hit plenty more bumps in the road.
But can I, on that, it's bang on, whoever sent you that, it's bang on. But do you know what the funny thing is, right? He listed some names, some strikers. I've got a few here I've listed that he had at Brentford. And we all talk about that we would love him at Spurs, and rightly so. The Johan Wissers, the Mbermos, the Shardays, the Tonys, the Watkins, list goes on. Do you know what I find funny, right? When they joined Brentford, they weren't massive. When they joined him, I have mates that are Brentford season ticket holders. When Johan Wisser joined him from Lorient, they went, who the fuck is this bloke? He's crap. And the manager moved him from playing out on the left to play him as a 9. And they go, God, this guy's good now. And I went, and they go, they find it funny when they see these meltdowns. They go, well, he's been here 5 minutes. What were you expecting? This is a manager that needs time to build players. Would we have signed Mbermo before they signed him at Brentford? We'd have all gone, God, we need have our expectations. Would we have signed Ollie Watkins from Exeter City? Nope. Would we have signed Ivan Toney from Peterborough? Nope. Would we have signed Sade from Freiburg? Nope. Johan Wisser, Lorient. The list goes on. I could list more. I'll use those as an example.
Ivan Toney from Peterborough.
Do you know what's funny, right? We judge Frank on the players that he has based on his development work, but then we shoot down the manager because he hasn't been able to develop the ones he's got at the moment at his disposal. It's catch-22. Like, so, we'd love a Johan Wisser. Well, why don't we wait until see what the guy can do with what he's got at the moment before we start losing the plot, like before he's done anything? I find it crazy.
Do you really think we're having a meltdown, though? Yeah, for me, a meltdown.
I don't think.
No. What I mean, us. When I say us, I mean Spurs as a whole, as such. Yeah, I can't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself.
The vocal.
What I'm saying is, there you go. What I call a meltdown, more of a meltdown, is when it's the percentage is high, as in more than 50% is having the meltdown as such. Yeah, when it's over 50%, you can say it's the majority. That is when I say it's a meltdown. At the moment, I think it's a less amount of supporters having their meltdowns, but I think it's for different reasons. And it's for basically everything I've said earlier with about 3 different things. I think there's certain fans having meltdowns because of the way we play. Other ones having meltdowns because of they wanted Ange to stay. Other ones just being who they are, sort of thing. And I think I don't think it's one total meltdown and an overall. I think it is a low percentage. But in that percentage, I don't think it's based on just one thing that people are having a meltdown on, if that's what you want to call it. I think there's a few things in there that a certain percentages of that 25% altogether, if that's the number I'm just using randomly, are having as such. I don't think it's one specific thing that people are focusing on. I think there's 3 or 4 split things in there what certain people have got the ump about, basically. But a meltdown, I don't think we're having it at Spurs. I think there's a few out there that are having a bit of a funny turn at the moment. That's their choice, up to them, whatever turns them on, you know. And then there's others out there who just don't want Ange in because they didn't want him in from the start. Fair enough, I can understand that. But then you still want your team to win, not just lose to prove a point. But there's others who will quite happily have it like that. I don't think it's one complete meltdown we're having here.
Well, YouTubers are definitely today. I've seen Spurs are in crisis. Like Jesus Christ! Right? I've seen Spurs are in crisis. I've seen Frank is on fraud watch. I mean, first and foremost, what does that even mean? I want to ask Lee a question. Lee, are we seeing at the moment a squad that unfortunately is born of years and years of poor recruitment? And are we seeing that Kane and Son papered over many cracks at this football club? Double-sided question.
Absolutely. We know. I think you could probably say since, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but the last good Poch team was the last good cohesive team we had. And a lot of the seasons, you're right, Kane and Son were probably drawing us and getting us the wins, etc., where we were all, you could almost say we overachieved. But I think it's definitely, we know it's down to the recruitment. We know we've gone through these phases of buying bulk and not quality, and the club's got itself into such a pickle situation where the turnover of players, unlike other teams that will quite happily sell a player to make a profit on them, etc., even things like Man City and stuff like that, we seem to have tried to buy as much as possible, hoping something comes good, and then we've ended up letting these players go for peanuts. And we're not, the turnover is just not like the bigger clubs. And that's got to change.
The only thing I'd say really is we don't let them go for peanuts because we never sell them.
They just hang around. They're literally like we're like Mr. Trebus, if you know who he is. We just hoard players and keep around until
look at what we could have sold Eric Dyer for.
Cleaners in to get them out.
We could have sold Eric Dyer for big money. We could have sold Dele Alli for 100 million at one point because Man U were willing to make the offer, and for Eric Dyer at one point. We do hang on to players too long. We do have usually have a system now where they don't look at it and think, right, I can get a big bonus out of this player, even though he's doing well, and I can go and get 2 of the players and make this whole team better overall with that. Or see that the player isn't going to get it. That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm giving examples here.
Kane, we've done that, but where the mismanagement comes from is that we haven't had the mentality of buying those 2 good players. We've gone and spent it on crap.
Yeah, but with that one, we had no option but to sell. Yeah, we had to sell them because they was going no matter what. You was not going to stop Bale going Real Madrid. You weren't going to stop Modric. You weren't going to stop Kane this time. So they had to go. Other ones where we've had an option of selling them for significantly more money than what we've paid for them, and possibly looking like they ain't going to improve, Eric Dyer being one of them, that we could have sold for a significant amount of money. We don't do it. We wait until they get to the point where they're dead as doornails and you can't get rid of them come love nor money. Whereas there's other ones you don't get an option and you have to sell because we have not got the same caliber as Real Madrid, basically, and other teams like that. So there's certain players that just have to go because they do. But I'm making you right on what you're saying. There's been other players where we've had a good chance to sell them, make significant money and do something, and we don't.
The reason why I asked that question is because, as I said, I was speaking to my uncle today, and he turned around and he said, the funny thing about all of this, he said, is if Thomas Frank was playing this way but had Kane and Son in the 11, Tottenham would probably be top of the league because Kane and Son would paper over every crack like they have for 4, 5, 6, 7 other managers. And it got me thinking. And then I started writing down lists of players. And I just looked at, in the last 3-4 years, Lee, Spurs have accumulated a forward line that consists of Solanke, Richarlison, Johnson, Odegaard, Tell, and a not fit Mawani. And the best that we could come up with in midfield is Basuma, Gray, Sarr, Bergvall, and Bentancur. And I look at that, Lee, and I go, I can't even believe that we are fifth in the table. If I'm brutally honest, I know the boys said about the using. I look at that group of players and go, where does anybody expect that group of players should actually be? Because, sorry, and this is a bit of a rant here, Lee. Sorry, Brian, going, just trying to get my own feelings out there. If anyone turned around to me and said, who would you be upset about if we lost overnight? Other than Van der Ven, Romero, Paulinho, and Kudos. I chuck Maddison in as well, but obviously we know he's out for the year. I look at that and go, no one. There's no one else in that squad, Lee, where I go, core, yeah, they've got to stick around. So I guess my point to all this, sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but I guess my point to all of this is, what are fans expecting with these caliber of forwards and midfielders? What are we expecting to see? What are we expecting from the manager? I don't get it. Don't get it.
No, I agree. And as I've said, I think this is a mid-table team. But to everyone else's point that's made this point, right, we are in a situation right now, and this is why I don't understand why everyone's jumping the gun with this Frank out piece, is because we are only literally 1 or 2 games away from every single team from 3rd to 10th swapping, right? It's 2 points here, 3 points there, 1 game here, 1 game there. That's the point. We are in 5th, but we're just in a group of teams that are all on the same kind of points. 1 game either way, and we could be 10th, we could be 8th, we could be 7th. It's going to change week in, week out. It's when you start getting the teams that start getting the consistent runs that draw you away, then that's what we've got to do. We've got to go on a run of consistency to keep us there, which is, I don't think we've got the squad to do that. I think we're going to be too up and down all the time. And with the you know, as Chris said earlier as well, the next 4 games, United, I mean, that's a seesaw. That could go either way with the way United are playing right now. You'd expect us, and I know people are going to hate this, you expect us to lose to Arsenal, right? Because they're just the best team in the league at the moment, even if it's boring to watch. And some of the other games that we got coming up, I can't see in the next 4 or 5 weeks where we get that consistent run to keep us where we are, especially with the players that we've got.
You get my point though about the. Sorry, James, you need to jump, don't you, mate?
Yes, please. Well, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on, mate. Appreciate you.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Thank you. I mean, you get my point though, right? Like, literally, when I was writing down all our forward and midfield options, I just thought, God, this has been years of neglect. This has been years and years of bad scouting, neglect. And you know what? There is still a portion of our fan base that still want to defend these players. I've still got people saying to me, you're harsh on Richarlison. Or Tell, give him time. Odegaard, like Gray, Bergvall, Sarr. Guys, Chelsea don't have players like that. City don't have players like that. Arsenal don't have players like that. Liverpool don't have players like that. I looked at Newcastle. I know they lost today. By the way, Newcastle, who've got a better squad than us, 5 points behind us, right? I looked at Newcastle's forwards today, and I'm looking and going, how have Newcastle amassed a better forward line than we have? How have Newcastle put together a really good midfield like Tonali, Joelinton, and Guimaraes, and we're having to watch Bergvalls and Sars? Like, this is what happens, guys. This is what happens when you do not buy properly. I don't want to hear from anyone next summer when we all stream together. I don't want to hear from anybody. Doesn't matter when the players are signed. Yes, it fucking does. If you don't buy the players, and give them their pre-season, some of them are going to struggle to fit in, right?
Mm.
Go and be a proper club. Buy properly. Buy what you need. This shouldn't be as difficult as Tottenham make it.
How long does Simmons get before you start judging him? I mean, one thing we can say with Simmons is we've seen quality before we got him. We've seen that he's a good player. But again, I stick by what I said. Since he's been at Spurs, he's been no better than Tell or Odobert. You've seen one moment out of him here or there, and he makes it past two players, and then he gets knocked off the ball possibly easier than Johnson at the moment. Yeah, he has been poor since we got him. But we got to give him time to land. He didn't get his pre-season, nothing else. But we have seen that there is a good player there. But we saw it at another team. How long are you going to give Simmons before you start judging him?
Surely you give
Anybody?
a player a season, no? Surely you have to give at least a player one season to go.
Tell only got 6 months. Tell only got 6 months. I'm asking, how long does a player get?
Hang on, I hear this all the time, but there's a difference, right? We've seen Xavi Simmons do special stuff at Leipzig and the Netherlands, right? So we're not just signing some kid from the bottom leagues of Germany, the bottom of the league in Germany. We're signing a top football player that was wanted by the likes of Chelsea, X, Y, and Z. So big teams wanted him. So you surely have to give this kid a season. The difference with Tell is it was an unknown quantity. Tell was an unknown quantity. We didn't really know how good this kid was going to be. And yeah, you could argue, well, you should give them the same amount of time. Sure.
I mean, it's like we're saying if we give Ange a year, then Frank gets a year. So if Simmons gets a year, doesn't Tell get a year in that?
Yeah, but Tell was different. Right? Hang on. Tell was different. We had him on loan. So the judgment was based on his loan spell. We pulled the plug, or not pulled. We pulled on to sign him. That is on the football club, right? So you judge a loan player based on their loan spell on if you want to sign them, right? For example, I don't think anyone here or in the chat surely would go, Paulinho has shown why you want to sign him after this loan spell because he has shown what he's worth. Tell didn't. That's the difference. The difference in the argument. Give him a year. Basically goes, okay, fine. We'll sign him on a 4-year contract, and then in 6 months we'll go, nah, he's crap. That's not normally how it works, unfortunately.
No, I'm just asking how much time people would give him. That's all.
No, Dan, I don't think Tell's a good example of one to compare him against because let's be honest, and I've said this from day one, and this is just my opinion. Bayern Munich didn't want him, and then we reduced their price so we would buy him. That tells you everything you need to know about what they thought of his potential and that he was never going to get near their squad. Now, coming to England, it could have been a completely different, start. It could have been a start for him to progress and be coached. But let's be fair, what we've seen of him has been absolutely bang average. And if you haven't got it by now, then it may never happen. Maybe he's more suited to Italy or Spain or Germany or something like that. Maybe he'll flourish, but I don't think he's going to flourish in the Premier League.
So how long do you give Simmons then? How long do you give? Because maybe he's not going to adapt to the Premier League. We just don't bloody know. We've seen a quality player now.
I think at a minimum.
What does that mean? When we say how long do we give him? What's the repercussion at the deadline? What does that mean?
Well, that's what I'm asking because people were agreeing with at the start where you judge and then there's the judgment at the end of the season on the manager and everything. That's basically how long you give them before you start putting a proper judgment on them. So obviously with the manager, we give him the season to put the judgment down. So I'm just asking people, how long are they going to give Simmons to come good before they start judging him on whether we've made a good buy, a dud buy, or whether they think he's going to improve? It's just a question.
Isn't it different This is the problem. We judge all players the same.
Agreed.
Yeah,
can I give my answer to Dan though, Savva?
Oh, sorry.
For me, I think 6 months is enough for two things.
Improvement.
For a player to start understanding the methods, the training methods, and the tactical methods of the coach, and enough time with a good consecutive run of games to understand the league.
I agree.
Now, this is why I said I'm worried about Simmons because everyone's bigged him up from Leipzig, etc. I get that, but we've seen so many people over the years that have been great in the leagues they were in, but when you come to the Premier League, it's a completely different kettle of fish. And the only reason I'm worried is because I haven't, even with the 9-10 games that he's played so far, I've not seen even a spark yet. There's got to be some progression. Same with Tell, no progression. So maybe it's just a bit slow. I don't know, but
so
6 months should be more
what
than
you
enough.
want then, Lee. Just so I can understand what Lee said. Just so I can understand what he said. So basically, what you're saying is, if I'm understanding it, is pretty much the way I'm seeing it as well. Where as long as, say, let's just say by January, you're seeing an improvement in the player and there's improvement and he's starting to get his shit together, basically. You go with it from there as such.
Yeah.
But if there's no improvement by January and you're not seeing no improvement, you're then going to question. You're then going to question him.
I would question whether
Can I just go back on two things there? Just 1 second. Just firstly, I hate this notion that we box everyone into coming from one league to another and they struggle. We could equally use players that have moved from the Bundesliga to the Premier League that have done well. Firstly,
it's called transition, Perchy. Nothing to do with that. It's called transition, mate. It's a different.
Some take longer than others.
Different countries, different
all three of you are talking. All three of you are talking. I can't hear a word.
My sentence. Let me just finish my sentence. You'll get what I'm saying here. Isn't it done on player-by-player basis, right? We don't know the situations, right? Simmons might have had to come over here on his own. He's a 22-year-old kid moving over from a country. We never. It's not. I always say this all the time. We never put any person behind the football player. We think they're all robots, right? Comes in, click. He's got to be amazing immediately. It's not how it works, though.
But nobody said that either.
No, I'm not saying you said that. Okay. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. I'm not saying you said it. My point is that when it's like, how long does it take? Well, it could take 6 weeks. It could take 6 months. It could take over a year for him to settle in and in the environment that he's in for us to play well. I don't think that we as a football club have helped him in the way that we play. I think he works hard, but the fact is, I stand by Xavi Simons for the reason because the amount of people I see that just berate him. He was the reason somehow we lost against Chelsea, making out he was the worst player on the pitch. I found madness, by the way.
One of. I would say he was one.
I don't think he was. I think there was a lot.
It was a terrible game.
Yeah,
but how long, Perchy, is he going to get them? How long is he going to get them? Because at the end of the day, I use my phrase here: it's dog eat dog. At the end of the day, how long do you think he's going to get? Well, it is like it or lump it. How long do you think he'll get? I'm asking questions. That's
sure. But the thing is, we're again, every human being is different, right?
100%.
Every single human being is different. Right, there has been so many footballers that come over to this country, and in year one, they're not talked about. You don't see anything, and then they progress. For example, let's look at some of these players we just talked about that Frank developed at his old club. Right, let's look at people like Thierry Henry, who did nothing really when he first came to this country. Luka Modric, for the first 3 to 6 months, he was being shoved out on the left-hand side, right? Everyone was going exactly the same thing. He's too small. He won't be able to play, right? And then Redknapp came in and it started to get better and better and better and better, right? Son, what did Son do in year one, right?
I
so
know
all of this,
but
hang on.
How long will he get, do you think?
But you're asking a question that has no definitive answer. What does that mean? Like, if we're saying he gets 6 months,
what it means.
Hang on, Dan, can I finish the sentence, mate? It's not obvious what it means because you think everything in the world is black and white. You think it's all binary, right?
No, I don't.
Xavi Simons this year might not settle in the Prem. He might not. He might not get loads of goals, loads of assists, and he might struggle.
I know that.
Right? Next year, he could burst onto the scene and be like, "Wow,
exactly,
he's brilliant."
And next year, he might end up doing nothing.
Well, he might not. I think it's a fair question that Dan's asking because we can do that with Henry, but we could do it with Nkunku or Timo Werner, who also worryingly joined from the same club that Simmons has joined from. I think it's a fair question. If it carries on,
he
like
needs
this,
a season.
How long will people give him? It can't carry on forever. It's far too early now, but there comes a point where you've got to go. It's just not working.
Sure, but I've been
we're a long way
interrupted
away.
about 15 times. I'm trying to get my point out, and like I've been interrupted about 15 times. My point is, right, is when we say how long do you give him? Who? How long does who give him? Like who? What does that mean? So we go, right, he gets 6 months. So what happens at 6 months? We sell him? What I don't understand what
No,
you're
I think
saying.
it's, I think you're talking about fan judgment. Fan judgment.
I'll explain it
About
different.
your personal opinion, wasn't he? About
Overall, people got different opinions. People see it different. Some people will give a player bloody 2 games. Some people will give them a season. Some people will give them 6 months. Some people will give them 3 months. Some people will do whatever they want to do because they've got their own opinion to it. The only question I was asking is, okay, I'll put it a bit more simple for people. How long in general do people think that people in general are going to give him before they start making a serious judgment of him? It's just a question.
They've already started judging him.
People would
Some have, some have,
No,
some
lots
have,
have,
but a
lots
lot
have.
haven't. Yes, some have, a lot haven't.
But
Because
Dan, I think,
like
can I-
anything, we are very impatient. Like absolutely everything, we are so impatient. And I'm seeing
Yes.
people's comments in the chat. Like when Perchie said about the human being and what happens in the background, there's people going, oh, they're professionals. Yes, but imagine you and me had to go to Germany right now, right? Imagine me and you had to go work in Germany right now, right? Brand new place, brand new country. Don't speak the. I'm sure he speaks the language, right?
22,
Brand new
by the way.
country, right? Brand new company we're working for, right? If we're expecting everyone to hit the ground running, some people, I've had people that I've managed that in their first year of working for me, I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. And then they learn and they grow and they mature. But you know what? He's on a massive contract. He's on a massive contract. So I don't understand, if I'm honest, the point of how long do you give him? I think you give him however long he needs, right? You give him however long he needs.
I don't think Dan is disagreeing with any of that, though. He's just saying you can't give him however long he needs. We can't be here in 3 seasons' time with him still playing.
Yeah, because I personally remember after about, I'd say, round about 13 to 15 games, you sitting there saying Richarlison's shit, don't want to see him here. He's got to go. He's absolute crap. So
Dan,
if you're going to use players, the same amount of time,
don't use stupid ones. If you're going to use players,
no,
don't use silly ones.
So but far, he might have come good. It might have took time. As all I'm saying is, do you give every player the same time? What I'm asking the question is, how much time do you think people are giving in general? I mean, what we do might all be different. Or do you also give every player the same time? Or does some player get less time because he costs 30 million, or others get more because he costs 60? It's a question. Nothing more.
So, yeah, but the players you keep using as examples don't work. And I'll tell you why they don't work. I've seen Richarlison for years and years before he came to Tottenham and didn't rate him at all. It wasn't about will he come good. I've never seen him good. I never watched Richarlison and went, cool, he's going to be brilliant at Tottenham. But we have seen Xavi Simons do some brilliant stuff for his country and club. We have seen that boy is talented. So for me, it's a when, not an if, we start to see proper Xavi Simons, right? With Richarlison, never wanted him, never saw anything in him.
Okay.
With Tell, I've never watched Tell for Bayern Munich for the years he was there and went,
what about Werner?
Fair enough. So certain players, what you're saying then, if I'm understanding you correctly then, from what you've seen of a player in that, certain players you will give significantly more time than others to develop, to possibly come good.
I think Dan, to answer Savva's question, and I don't mean to answer your own question, I think we'd agree that if a player is coming from another Premier League team, you should be able to see it a lot quicker because you understand them, they know the cream. But anyone coming from outside of the Prem or from another country, from Europe, Far East, America, South America, etc., I think you have to be more lenient with them and give them more time just due to the personal change, the footballing change, the coaching change, etc. I think... And just to go back to my point of why it's 6 months for me, is because based on the years that I did coaching, it's the average amount of time, dependent if you take people that hit the ground running or take a bit longer, it's the average time that takes people. So that's why I just say 6 months-ish.
I get that, yeah. And do you know what? I'm totally with you on that one. I want to see improvement on there. And with Simons, we can say, at least with Simons, we can say there's been something there. But the point I will bring it to, because I'm just asking how long people in general will do it, you think? I'll bring Tell back into it again. He's had to come to another country. He's had to adapt. He's had to change. He's had to do things. And people shit on him after, what, 3 months?
And I just answered that question.
Why do players... Yeah, but why do players get different time to other players? I mean, he's in the same situation that Tell was.
You've not listened to a word I said. The difference is...
everything you've said.
Well, clearly not. The difference is...
Clearly I have.
I've never rated... This is the thing. Lots of people that actually watch other leagues don't rate Tell from what they've seen. So it's not a case of, oh my God, I want to see what I've seen Tell do at Bayern. Not seen him do anything. I've seen Xavi Simons do things for Leipzig and Holland that I want to see him replicate in a Spurs shirt. The problem
so you'll give him longer then because of what you've seen him do?
I don't think it's about giving longer. I'm not giving Tell... But the thing is, it's not like I'm giving Tell a definite time. I just don't rate Tell. There's a huge difference. This is the problem. It's not like I'm saying I can give Tell 6 months, a year. I've seen enough over the last couple of years that for me, Tell doesn't have anything where I go, yeah, you're a really good footballer. What we're seeing from Tell is what I saw of him at Bayern. Poor first touch, can't really beat a man, not strong, doesn't score, doesn't assist. There's nothing I've ever seen in Tell that makes me go, yes. Xavi Simons, I've seen it. Now, will that definitely manifest itself in the Premier League for Spurs? I don't know, but I've seen it with my own eyes. Right? Okay. I've seen it with my own eyes. That's the hope with Simons.
I agree with that. But we've seen now. Go.
We've seen flashes in games. You see, yesterday he did a lovely bit where he got the ball, jinked past 2 players, and then got taken out. And you go, shouldered. Yeah, I want to see more of that, right?
Yep.
But again, maybe if we see a Xavi Simons in a really settled team with the right players around him, it will be different. Look at Florian Wirtz at Liverpool, right? Florian Wirtz is one of the best playmakers in world football, right? Every club in the world would have wanted Florian Wirtz in the summer. He's coming to Liverpool, not hit the ground running, and people go, you can't do it over here. Well, what? Did he suddenly forget how to play football?
It's basically back to the point, Savva, of what I said earlier. I was only asking questions, nothing more, nothing less.
No,
and he basically takes it back to the same point of where we go back to Frank now, yeah? You've basically looked at 2, 3 different players we've mentioned there, and for 3 different reasons, all fair reasons, that I think, by the way, that you will judge each player different and give them all different amounts of time because of different things that you've seen. And then it goes back.
Of them an amount of time, Dan. That's not what my point was. I'm not giving any of them an amount of time. They're all different. My point to this complete thing, it's not about giving them different amount of time. If I don't rate them, I don't rate them. I didn't want Dominic Solanke for the very reason that I'd seen Dominic Solanke for 6 to 7 years in England and didn't rate him. It's not about how long am I giving him in a Spurs shirt. But it's not good enough.
But then any player can come over who's been brilliant in another country and be crap. Any player can come over and be good. Any player, we know how it works. The only question I'm giving is how long do you think people in general are going to give Simons, where as yet has been no better than Tell or Odebert, bar maybe 1 second on a ball? How long do you think people are going to give him before they start judging him in whether you like the phrase or not in this dog-eat-dog world, before they start going off their head and want him out? Now, I agree with what Lee said. If I don't see improvements by the end of January, I'm going to start questioning, have we got the right player? Is he settling in? Is the manager doing him the right way? But if I start seeing some improvements, I'm going to be thinking, yeah, let's carry this on. I'm just asking, how long do you think people in general are going to go before they turn on him? Like they haven't given Frank much time to get things rolling before they started turning on him, where everyone's got their own opinion, isn't it?
And he will be the next one as well that people turn on, purely because he was the summer signing, right? He was the one that we spent the money on. And that's...
Can I just go back to Dan's question for just 1 second? Because you asked a question in that, and I said, so you said, how long do you want to give him? In fairness, it actually doesn't matter what we think in the grand scheme of it. Right?
Yeah, Percy.
But my point is, but my point is, hear me out. My point is that if we go, well, let's just say a year or 6 months and stuff. So what we're saying is in 7 months we start seeing him do really good. Are we now going to say that we've written him off? Is that how we're suggesting?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just asking questions of what people do. Okay, let me put this a different way to you then, yeah? So let's say by the end of the season,
yep,
Mwane, even, who we think can come good, I think he can, and Simmons, they haven't come up to standards, yeah? But other players like Kudus, other players like Paulini, other players like VDV, Romero, others have improved, yeah? Now, if they haven't improved by the end of the season, who then comes to blame for it? Isn't it down to Frank then for not improving them and he's the one that signed them? What's it going to be? What are people going to say? What are people going to judge? This is the question I'm basically putting down because people judge so differently, so quickly, and some take long.
But isn't that the kind of thing that we've been trying to sort of talk about throughout the night? Was everyone's just so quick to judge immediately? Like I'm
agreeing.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying you've said this, but I'm saying, but isn't that the point though? It's almost like we've become this entitled, not us here and people. I'm just saying we've all become so entitled in the sense of, oh, well, if he's going to be here a year then and he's not done anything in a season, then he must be crap. Get rid of him. And then the following season, then you go.
But we've all done that. But we've all been guilty of that, and nobody can tell me otherwise that not one person has been guilty of doing that with a player.
I'm not saying that.
So, do you know how many minutes he's played for Spurs? So, does everyone know? Do you know how many minutes he's played for Tottenham Hotspur? Right?
It's not that many, is it? Because he's only played, 8 or 9 games and he's been sub most of them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He has completed 90 minutes once.
Mm-hmm.
One 90 minutes this man has completed. And we're talking about how long do you give him? Right? I genuinely, I worry. I do worry because we're just going to.
I mean, Till could come good as well. No one on here can say he won't.
There's so many examples of footballers that don't do anything in year one and then they do in year two, right? Or footballers that don't do anything in year one or year two and get sold on. But at the end of the day, this is going to be down to when Thomas Frank judges him, right? And says, yeah, I need to sell this player. I just think that he's getting a lot of the flack seems to be going on to Xavi Simmons. I noticed this yesterday in the game. Yeah. I don't think Xavi Simmons did anything worse or better than any of the other players. But all of my chat was, oh, Xavi. It's like, whoa, hang on. But what about Pedro Porro, who's absolutely fucking horrific?
I think Van de Ven was awful yesterday as well.
Van de Ven
was dreadful.
Awful.
Well, another player I'll give us an example then.
And Spence.
What about, I mean, Tell might come good. We just don't bloody know. I mean, again, I'm just asking in general before people start coming down on him. And
yeah, but Dan, there's a difference.
Already judging.
Dan, there's a difference.
I mean, look what happened with Archie Gray. Now, for me, we'd only seen him in the league before. We shouldn't have spent that money on him, but he might have come good. But people like me, other people like Savva and other people as well come down on him after about 10 minutes because we did not think he was good enough or for that 40 million. Yeah. But again, when it comes on to Simmons, how long are people going to give him, do you think?
But there's a difference, Dan, because people have never seen Archie Gray. Like, people have never seen Archie Gray to the point where you go, God, that's why we spent 40 million on him.
I agree. Examples, Dan.
We've seen, the players you're using as examples don't match with the question you're asking for Xavi Simmons.
Yeah. Because Simmons has got that bit of history that we've seen.
Xavi Simmons, that's the difference. When people are coming down hard on Gray, it's not so much that we're coming down hard on Gray. We're questioning, why did Spurs use 40 million of their transfer to buy Archie Gray? I don't think Xavi Simmons, anyone's going, why did we buy him? We've seen what he's capable of. This is why when we use Tell, when we use Gray, when we use Charlton as examples, these are not the same, right? These weren't players that were wanted by Chelsea and Bayern Munich, and these are players that weren't wanted by anybody. No one was queuing up to buy.
There are examples, though. There are examples, like when Timo Werner joined Chelsea, right? He was smashing it in. Loads of teams wanted him. Even when we signed Ndombele, he'd done it in the Champions League. He didn't turn out for other reasons, right? And that, I think that's Dan's point. By the way, Dan is absolutely not criticising Simmons right now, right? Just to be clear on that. But he is saying at what point, like with Ndombele, who we could all see was super talented, do you start to question whether he's going to make it at Tottenham or not.
I don't. But I think. But isn't the point though that no one went and judged him immediately, right? No one was sitting there saying after 10 games of seeing Ndombele play, go, nah, this guy's crap, blah blah. Like it was an amalgamation of time where we went, this guy's attitude. By the way, no one was judging Ndombele's talent. It was about his attitude, right? I don't.
We judged on Dembele after we saw his Uber Eats receipts coming through. That's what we judged him.
But this is the point. Dan is targeting his question to you guys, not the people who are criticising Simmons right now. Right? The question is, at what point does your patience begin to run out, or you begin to think maybe it's just not going to work? I think we're all in agreement. Way too early now. Way too early.
But what I'm asking is how long before you start judging? Like Lee gave me an answer. He said 6 months, and he said why.
But hold on. There's context to it, right?
Yeah,
this 6 months. It's not this binary. 6 months thing. No, and you're right, Savva. It's not binary, and this is what I was trying to say to Dan about this Tell thing, right? There's a scale to everything, and with Tell, I've seen a window where I've seen absolutely no improvement. Okay, so I can use that to say, well, what makes me think he's going to improve over another 6 months? If he's got this 6 months and he hasn't done anything, and it's a scale, right? And this is the same with Xavi as well. I will be worried if after 6 months his output is just flatline, right? If it's flatline, then you've got to start to worry, because what I want to see from him, I completely understand it's going to take him time. And I think after 6 months, you should see sort of like the graph going up, a few assists, a few goals, if we get to 6 months and he's getting better and better, then he's progressing and now he's getting it and now he's getting the league, etc. And then you start to flourish after that. Whereas with Tell, he's just flatlined, right? We've seen enough of him to know that there's no upward trend. It's all flat. Same with, and Odebear is another one, right? And other people saying, oh, Odebear come good, but hold on, we've seen him in the Prem for Burnley.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, he's output. The only thing I like about Odebear is that he does try, but his output is non-existent, right? It's non-existent. So again, right? It's flatline to the point where I can say, well, if he ain't going to do it, if it was up and down, up and down, up and down, there might be something to work with. But if it's the same shit week in, week out, then what makes you think it's going to get any better?
I totally agree with what you're saying, Lee. The question that I asked everybody, you've given me a solid answer here. I don't know what others have said as such, but the point you've made, I pretty much agree with it, because that's pretty much mine. Because if I don't start to see some sort of improvement off of him after 6 months, I will start asking questions with him and possibly even the manager, the way he's playing him. I'm asking, how long would anyone on here give him before they start making not full judgment, but judgments of him? Like, is he improving? Is he going to look like that player? Is he going to be that player? Are some people going to give him a whole season before they judge him? Are some people going to start saying, well, he's a 50 million player and getting paid a lot of money, I expect better, quicker sort of thing? Are others going to be saying this? I'm just asking a question of how long do you think in general before people really start judging him properly? Fairness doesn't come into this, because life isn't fair. Football isn't fair. Like it or lump it. That one is a fact. And because he's cost his money, and it's another one that I think people have put the hopes too high on him too quickly, that maybe he is getting judged a bit too quickly. But how long would you give him before you're going to start making a decision on, is it going to come good or bad?
Do you know, actually, can I ask you all the question?
I agree with Lee. 6 months.
Can I
want to
ask you
see
all
an improvement.
Yeah, can I ask you all the question?
Life isn't black and white or binary, so I can't. I can't answer
Savva, most things these days are non-binary, mate.
Savva.
That's just life.
Can I finish a sentence? Right out loud. Go on, Lee. Go.
I was just going to say, you're right. It's a scale, right? It's not. But I'm going to ask you all a question. Do you think, since the game yesterday, the backlash would have been so bad if we still lost 1-0 to Chelsea, but we'd have the same amount of shots, same amount of chances? It was just they finished their dinner and we didn't. Do you think the backlash today or the fan kickback would have been as bad? Because I think yesterday was just, I agree with everyone, it was just one of the worst games I think I've watched us play. We just weren't in the game at all. And I think it's evident that these guys, I think, and I'm going to hate to say this and people aren't going to like it, but I think it's absolutely a godsend that we've gone out of the Carabao Cup. Because this squad cannot handle the amount of games that it's playing.
I agree.
And I think something else has probably got to give as well if we're going to make it to the end of the season and we're actually going to get some results, unless we go big in January, which I think we're going to find it hard to do.
Look, let's look forward to Copenhagen. Just quickly before we do, let me just do big up to Adam Gill, who said counter-attack works with Son and Kane. It won't work when you have forwards that can't hit a barn door. Adam, absolutely spot on, which is why I don't get for this clambering to go to wing backs. You've still got forwards that can't hold the ball up and don't score goals. This is why I don't think it's a formation thing. I think it's a personnel problem. Other people disagree. That's fine. But Adam, I agree. You've got to have lightning fast players on the counter attack. You've got. We were lucky. Kane, Son, even Lucas Moura, they were built for it. Bale built for it. We don't have those players in our squad. We just don't. Big up to you, Adam. Appreciate you. Aslan, I said Spurs have had a statistically easier fixture run than the clubs around them. Same points as United, who have played 4 big 6 games versus 2 for you. Sure. Haven't Tottenham played Chelsea, City, Bournemouth, Villa, Brighton?
Yeah.
Like when we're saying
West
it's
Ham
been
away where we never win.
So West Ham away, Brighton away, Man City away. These are easy games now, are they? And Bournemouth, Aston Villa, and Chelsea are. I don't buy this. I don't buy this that we've had an easy start. I think it's been a normal start. Big up to you though. Thank you, Jordan. Very generous as always. Said we have won 3 of our last 19 home games. That is a massive worry, and it's not just a Frank issue. Agreed. Under Ange, all I heard was that he had no Kane, yet Frank has no Son, Solanke, Maddison, and Kulu from last season. Yeah, but it doesn't work. Notice how all the Ange fans that don't want Frank don't seem to mention any of the injuries each week. But under Ange, all we heard was, but he's got players injured. He's got players injured. Doesn't work both ways, apparently. Big up to you, Jordan. Coming again, very, very generous, and said since the stadium opened in 2019, in terms of league position, we have only got top 4 once in 6 years. That's when we had Kane and Son. Our recruitment has been poor for so many a year. And this is my point, Jordan, right? This is my point. Suddenly, our expectations are that we should just be a top 4 team that plays good football when we've not been that for years. I don't know where this expectation comes from. Big up to you, my man. And big up to Emma, says, evening, Savva and gang. Good evening to you as well. Thank you very much to both of you. Guys, just quickly, Copenhagen on when Tuesday becomes a big game now. What is everyone's thoughts? Are we worried because of how we've been playing, or Copenhagen at home is a good way to get some feel-good factor to the home stadium?
No, I think you've got to bounce back at some point, and I think we will against Copenhagen. I think it's a good game. I think if I was Spurs now, I'd just wipe away the awful performance on Saturday. They're no mugs, by the way. Like, there's no mugs, but they're a good football inside Copenhagen. If anyone's seen them play, they're a good side. So look, I still think we'd win. I think we get a result. Look, I just want to. I think we just need. I think the home fans more than anything need to get a result at home at the moment. We've won 1 at home all season, so I think for that side of things, I think more than anything, the result for me. I'm at the stage where result for me is more important in the Champions League. You beat them, and you feel a little bit more comfortable with the sort of tougher run at the end of it. Don't know what anyone else thinks.
I think it's another one of those games that I'm on the fence as to whether it's a win or a loss, right? I think if you look at their record in the last 5 games, I think it's very similar to ours.
Yeah.
I think they've drawn a couple, lost a couple, won a couple. I think we should have the advantage of being at home, but that is our biggest problem at the moment, is we are not taking advantage of being at home in our stadium. Now, whether that's to do with the atmosphere or what, I do not know. But we've got to get over it. We've really got to get over it and get over it soon, because games like this we should be controlling at home. And if they win because they're better on the night, then fair play. But we can't let them come and play like the home team. That's what frustrates me more than anything. So You know, and I think these players need a rest. I hate international breaks, but sometimes when some of these players are not playing internationally and get to have a rest, I think it's a godsend. But
yeah,
I think it's going to go either way on Tuesday night.
It's going to be a hard game. The way we've been playing and that in general and everything, it's not going to be an easy game no matter what. Copenhagen is a game I think we should be winning, but then we should have won a Bodo as well, in my opinion. But it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, what game do you actually have the written right to win as such? But there is certain games you play where you sit there and say, well, we should be winning that game. Yeah. That's when you've got expectations of your team as such. There is going to be certain games that you feel you should definitely be winning, but you haven't got no written right to win any game out there. That is why football is what it is. Certain results just happen out of nowhere. But I think Copenhagen is a game we should be winning. But of the way we've played, it's going to be a tricky game like any game at the moment. But I think we can do them 2-1.
I think we win. But they haven't won a game in the Champions League just yet. Let's just put it that way. Don't say it anymore.
Someone say
game, really.
Yeah, you know what? Don't say it anymore.
Crystal Palace didn't win in 9.
Oh, don't.
We fix that.
Yeah. I just think it's. I mean, Chris, what's your thoughts on this? Because it could get toxic very quickly if we don't win.
Exactly why I think it's a big game. Because let's be honest, this is a standard of opposition that's below what we're normally playing in the Premier League. So there will be a massive expectation that we have some sort of performance. I'm not expecting it to be camped at the edge of their box and 30 shots, but if it's anything like the weekend, I think it will get toxic straight away on Tuesday, if I'm honest. So I think the game becomes with a lot of pressure then as a result. So it'd be really interesting to see what team he picks, because on the one hand, you think we can't keep flogging the same players, which is why I did a bit of rotation last week. But then you'd earmark this. If we were playing really well and we come off a great win, you could understand why you might rotate. But we need to try and get some momentum in terms of how we're playing. I think it's a great opportunity for the likes of Simmons to try and exert his authority onto a game. So I think the opportunity is fantastic for us. I'm hopeful, but I'm a bit worried if we do have a performance a bit like yesterday. I think it will be really bad in the stadium as soon as Tuesday. I really do.
You use that word I don't like with Spurs. Opportunity. It doesn't seem to work very well, does it? Every time we seem to have an opportunity, I think me and Savva said it yesterday, it just don't ever seem to come good, does it? Opportunity and Spurs don't seem to work well together.
Do you think half the problem with this, though, guys, is that we don't have a best 11? You know, like you can look at so many teams and you pretty much know when everyone's fit at City. You kind of know what their 11 is. Same with Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, maybe. I just don't see, when we're talking about who we're rotating, I think we've got too many players that are below par. So I don't know if we've got a strong 11 to put out. Maybe I'm being harsh, Lee. I'll come to you. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I look at most of these players and go, I don't know.
Listen, let's take the squad as it is now, right? I think we know in pretty much most of the positions, apart from on the left, who you would have starting week in, week out. I just don't think you can rely on them starting week in, week out, because it will burn them out too quickly. And the worrying thing is that we've got no one to cover the positions to keep you at the same performing level. And that's the issue, right? So when you get a Carabao Cup round and it's like, oh, great, a Carabao Cup, we can rotate. No, because we've got Newcastle. Then you're rotating and you're already the strength of your team that you put out on the pitch goes down, right? So I don't think you can't not play these players on Tuesday night. I think you're going to see Van der Ven. I think you're going to see Romero should play because he came on and he should be able to do 90 minutes now. Mm-hmm. You're going to see Porro. You're going to see Kudus, even though we all think that he's knackered, because you can't replace him with Johnson. Because I'll be honest with you, I thought Johnson was crap last year. I think he has gone backwards. Now he hasn't. The few times I've seen him come on, I think he looks worse than he did last year.
But
He's
Lee,
not
you know
getting into
why?
because
we're
he's
not playing his way.
Yeah, we're not playing his way. He's been found
because
out.
he's not allowed to just get tap-ins this season. He's actually being
absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can drop Paulinho at all.
I agree.
And then there you go. The rest of the midfield is put in there wherever you like. Really, I think. But as Chris said, I think Xavi needs to step up on Tuesday. If it's more in taking with his game in terms of Europe and that kind of squad, then let's see. Maybe he comes out and as an absolute blinder, because it's a different type of game, isn't it, in the Premier League?
There's about
but
five...
it's definitely a game we can win. Absolutely, we can win it.
I'd say there's about 5 players you say definitely get into that team with Vicario, Romero, Van der Ven, Paulinho, and Kudus. Yeah, then you question. At the moment, personally, if Udogi's fit, I'd have Porro off that pitch for about 4 games now and be playing Spence on the right and Udogi on the left. But that's where the questions start coming in. Do you put Spence on the left, Porro there? You can start spinning that round. In the middle, who do you have there? Benton Cord. Do you have Sarr there? Do you have Bergvall there? And then you've got the question, does Simmons go as the 10 or does he go as the left? Or do you have Odebert, Mwane up front? I'd say there's only about 5 that are set for the team as such that walk into it. And then pretty much every other position you can pretty much question. Not that we got good options there, by the way, but I'd say they're the 5 that walk into it.
Does anyone know as well? I'm not bigging him up or anything like that, but because Bergvall came off from as a whatever you call it, because of a head injury, doesn't he have to do a minimum of 10 days out now?
6 days it is.
6 days, okay. So he's not going to be. He won't feature, will he? At all?
Yeah. See,
that's a fair point.
It was a concussion sub yesterday, wasn't it?
It was a concussion sub. Yeah, they did confirm it. Yeah,
they did. Okay, so it means he has to. That means he has to. Yeah, take the 6 days off.
Do you see my point, guys? The worry is, right, and I don't disagree with what any of you have said. The worry is that we don't even have a complete 11. So we're not even in a position to start rotating the likes of Kudus, the likes of Paulinho. What's going to end up happening is what my worry was in the summer, that we didn't buy enough players, we didn't fill out the squad, we didn't add depth. So what happens is now when Kudus doesn't play, the drop-off from Kudus to the next winger is fucking monumental. When Paulinho doesn't play, the drop-off to any of them is monumental, right? And this is my worry. Like when people say Copenhagen, listen, don't get me wrong, we should be beating Copenhagen, but I don't think any team is an easy win for us right now because I don't think we've got that quality in our team. Yeah. I think if Kula was fit, if Maddison was fit, if Solanke's, if they're all fit, I think I'm looking and going, yeah, because you can say, right, Xavi Simmons, you start this week, right, Maddison, you start the week after, Kulu, you can come in, you've got options. Right now, I'm worried we are going to run these players into the ground, the likes of Paulinho, the likes of Kudus, because then we need them against Man United on Saturday lunchtime, right? It's lunchtime, isn't it? Saturday, 12:30?
Yes.
So then we need them against Arsenal, and then it's PSG, and then it's Fulham. Right. And you go, when are we going to break it?
And this is why I think this is the double-edged sword of getting Champions League football. Is it's absolutely a necessity for the finances for the club and for attracting footballers, but it's a double-edged sword. If you do not have the players that can cope and the squad that can cope, this is what you get. You get players that start to look tired. You get performances where we don't look good. But hey, it is what it is, guys. I'm going to leave it there if that's all right with everybody. I'm going to leave it there. I was going to do a little bit on the Spence Van der Ven thing, but I to be honest, I think this is another thing. This is just going to be blown into 2025. It's being blown out of all proportion.
What was it? What was that actually about, though? Because that did look bloody rude.
No, but from what I've read, that it was.
I don't know.
Frank had a go at them for not clapping the fans, and they wanted to go straight down the tunnel. It was basically something to do with that. It's such a nothing thing, right? That it's been blown out of. Oh my god! Like they don't like him. Like it's crazy. No one has a clue. Like people.
Okay, quick question with that. I know you want to end the show, but quick question with that then. Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you. I didn't know what it was about, but either way, what them two did was bloody rude. You do that to the wrong person, you get a slap in the face for that. Yeah, that was bloody rude what they did. Would Conte put up with that? Would Mourinho put up with that? Would certain other managers put up with that, even if it was over something like that? Because what they did was bloody rude. What it was over sounds about right.
We will never know the conversation Frank has had with them.
Very true.
Yeah, this is the thing. We will never know. Listen, I think as well, the thing is, I think we've got to realise that there is, listen, I'm not making them right for what they did, but players' emotions, they're annoyed. Yeah. We haven't played well. There's booing. They probably want to get off the pitch. Listen, maybe they were rude. Maybe Frank's pulled them in and said, sorry, guys, what's the issue? Maybe he said, look, just don't do it again. But, you know, the internet has made it out to be, oh, my God, Van der Ven wants to leave. And, oh, my God, it's just all a bit.
Spence has an attitude problem again. Like, that's the comments. It's just ridiculous. Like, we don't know.
The ideal thing then would be one or the other basically doing an interview and saying, yeah, we walked off the pitch because we had the ump basically, and that to just put things at rest.
I think that blows it up. I don't think it needs
it. Fair enough.
I think the manager just has a word going, guys, what the hell was that about? We sort it out now and then we leave the dressing room and it's sorted. Things like that for me. I know you want to end and I'll leave it. I think this is where we're at a stage. I'm not saying you, Dan, but this is at a stage where we see so much of what goes on with footballers now. Some things are just, we don't need to see everything. Like everything's recorded. Like these things happen all the time back in the day, but they never were recorded and never micro-analysed. Or did you see Van der Ven's hand movements? That must mean he wants to leave the football club. Nah, they're pissed off. They've lost. They've had a shit game. They've had a bit of a fall now. They deal with it. You get on with it. No one get like, I don't know. It's just too much. Man, but anyway.
As we said, there's people in the chat saying Frank's got to deal with it. We will never know. We will. Frank's not going to come out and say, by the way, I've taken them both into the back room and had a bollocking at them. That's not. And that's the way I want the football club run. I don't like it when all this shit is done out in public. I just don't like it. So let me ask you, but again, see, this is what I mean. What good would it have done of Thomas Frank to throw his toys out the pram and make it a big issue? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand what the issue. Anyway, guys,
not a big issue. You don't make a big issue of it. I agree.
Yeah. I just again, it's another thing where I've seen so many videos about it, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, what are we doing here? Look, guys, thank you. Enjoyed that, and look, we move to Tuesday's game. I'm hoping at some stage this season we can just have conversations that aren't always about a manager being in or out. I'm really hoping that I really am hoping we get to that. We can get to that stage, because I just feel like we're going to be doing this for every manager for the rest of our lives if we keep doing it right.
I just hope someone's Frank shake it all about at this point. Sorry, it's an awful joke. Sorry.
Well, I just think the funny thing was, you think before the days of the internet, what we would do with a result like yesterday is everyone would talk about how shit it was at the pub, have a chat, and then the next day it's forgotten about, right, who we got this weekend. Now everything is just so highlighted. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Please get over to the Hotspur Hood and subscribe. And I don't think anyone else has got a channel, so unless I'm wrong. So please get over there. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to me tonight. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the likes. Let's see if we can just quickly transfer you over to any other Spurs creator. Don't know if anyone is live. Bear with me 1 second, people. 1 second. Is anyone live? There's loads of people live, but no Spurs diehards. I'll send you over to the Spurs diehards. When you get there, please just say Savva raid or FHTV raid. Show the love. Smash the like button for them. Please subscribe. Guys, much love. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.